This episode of the Grand Rising Show was brought to you by Autochthonous Assembly, where the real work gets done. Autochthonous Assembly is a gathering of the minds that do the work. Now, for many of our first-time subscribers and first-time visitors, you may be wondering who Autochthonous Assembly are. You can find this information about our mission statement and our core values on the website at autochthonousassembly.com/about. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to raising up Indigenous American voices by using genealogy, also known as family history, or your family tree, which is the study of families and the tracing of their lineages and history. Genealogists use oral interviews, historical records, genetic analysis, and other records to obtain information about a family and to demonstrate kinship and pedigrees of its members. Our core values are the foundation of our company, which is essential to our success and serve as a lens through which we evaluate every business decision. Those core values are, but are not limited to, integrity, which is knowing and doing what is right; respect, which is treating others the way you want to be treated; responsibility, which is embracing opportunities to contribute; and servant leadership, which is serving the common good. Now, at Autochthonous Assembly, we have a couple of goals here. And our first goal and foremost of the reason why we do everything that we do is to ensure that we help you do your genealogy and connect back to your tribe and find out where you are from. Everything that we do from the standpoint of the Grand Rising Show and all the information that's posted on the website is dedicated to that one specific purpose, helping you find your genealogy, find your relatives, find your family so that you will know exactly who you are. And if you choose to, tie back into your tribe, whether that tribe is a Native American tribe, an American Indian tribe, whether it's allowing you to determine which house in Africa that you belong to, or what clan of Scandinavia or Europe or France that you belong to. Either way, our goal is to do just that, help you find out who you are so you know exactly where to start. We are not here to tell you who you are, and we're not here to tell you who you are not. We're just here to help you discover your beginnings. Another one of our missions is to help you become financially independent so that you can help your generations for the next 7 generations and be able to put a stable foundation for you and your relatives. And if you should choose to use this information that we provide free of charge to help not only yourself, but your community and your tribe, then we will do everything in our power to make sure that gets done as well. And remember, our goal here is to make sure that we help you get exposed to this information to put you in the best situation possible. So now what I'm going to do now is return it back over to the panel to see if there was anything I missed, and I will go ahead and get set up so we can get ready and get digging into this information. Panel, take it away.
Warning, warning, warning. Hard hats, pickaxe, shovels, boots required.
Grand Rising. How's everyone doing this with Friday? When's Friday? Anyway, I can't.
Oh, you tried though. You tried.
Yeah.
I like it.
Don't sell out.
Friday.
Bones, how y'all doing?
Oh, I'm good. Grand? I'm grand.
Oh, my bad.
Okay, Bones, you already sound like a Decepticon, but you need to come in with your
Right now, in the process of switching.
with your numbers. With your numbers. Cause make sure everything is compastatic. Mm-hmm. So you good? No sellout? You get some good rest?
I was about to ask you to spell copacetic, but I know the answer to that.
You want to know how I spell it, or you want to know how I spell it? Because you know it's not the same.
One of these things is not like
Look, once I got my diploma from high school, yeah, we know.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So you got a diploma.
Yeah, I got a diploma. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I wrote in my GPA and everything. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I thought that was spelled GED.
No, I actually got a
No, I know what a GPA is. Stop. At least you went for it.
Yeah, man. Gotta do what you gotta do. That's the only way I could go to a tech school. Get this BS degree.
Yeah, that's terrible when you think about it. This BS degree.
Hey, I wanna
no disrespect.
I mean,
got my BS degree.
Yeah, no, hush. I want to send a grand rising and shout out to everyone, specifically the new subscribers. We had an influx of subscribers last night, thanks to the video that was put out, and a lot of individuals that was sharing the video. So appreciate you, Cootie Mayo, for doing that. Again, thanks for the new subscribers. Hopefully you'll understand why we do what we do and what the purpose is of Tactics Assembly and the Cab Grand Rising Show. Like we said, the public service announcement at the beginning of the show is to help people do their genealogy and find out who they are. So, yeah, that's what's up. Also, shout out to the Grand Rising to the Tactics Assembly silent majority, or what we call it, the A2 silent majority. Those are individuals that make up the majority of numbers that you don't normally see in the chat. We want to give them a shout out because without them, we wouldn't have the numbers that we have. So we definitely appreciate y'all for all y'all do while y'all doing the work in the background, sending the corrections and, addressing certain questions to us in email. Continue to do what you do and just know that we honor and respect you. And to the best chat ever on earth. The smartest chat, the chat that take no prisoners, the chat that be checking everybody on the panel. They don't care what your creds are. You better recognize. Y'all still gotta give yourself a name, but anyway.
That's why I love them so much, because if you're wrong, you're wrong, and they gonna tell you. We respect that and love that the most.
They be like, "Excuse me, that's not correct." No.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a link. Read that. So,
them my relatives. Yeah. Those are definitely those are relatives. Don't let me go down the street if you know there's a fire down there. Please tell me. Be like, no, bro, you don't want to go right. I'm going to listen.
Exactly. So, grand rising to y'all. So let's go ahead and do this. I would be remiss if I didn't say grand rising to Doodle Vision, a.k.a. James Flame, a.k.a. Choctaw Jimmy. What I like to say, our resident. Look, what'd you say? Go ahead.
AKA drop it like it's hot. AKA we need a new mic after every show. No, let me stop.
It's true though.
I feel great.
He's our Choctaw expert, y'all. Don't play. Don't sleep on what this man knows. So how's it going? Do the vision.
Oh, it is wonderful. Yes. The most greatest of the grandest of the risingest. In case you didn't know. Yes. Oh, yeah. What time is it? I'm ready.
Uh-oh.
Greetings, Mother Thomas. Greetings, Mother Balls, Mother TMA. To those in the chat that I haven't seen yet, in case y'all didn't know. Yeah. Brand new dance. Call the bird. Let's go. I yield the mic.
Okay, so remember what I told y'all? Y'all better have y'all ass ready. So go ahead and strap them on real tight. Everybody with a ratchet be passing out equipment once we clock in. So, but before we do that, let's go ahead and do this roll call. Grand Rising David Corey. Grand Rising Cab. Grand Rising Copper Colored Ancestor. Grand Rising Copper Chopper 803. Grand Rising Mr. TJ. Grand Rising. Okay, we go. Scrolling down. Grand Rising I Am Flying Squirrel. I Am Flying Squirrel, you need to call us because we need to find out why you chose that name. That's kind of hard. Can't forget it. Grand Rising LJ Free. LJ Free said she didn't get a notification, so if anybody didn't get a notification, just let us know. Grand Rising Swarth Vader. What it do, Swarth? May the Swarth be with you. What else we got? Grand Rising Dan Oquam. I am not going to mess up your last name like that, so please forgive me. We just going to call you Dan Oquam. Appreciate you for joining us. Who else we got? Grand Rising No Sellout. Grand Rising Lady J. The screen just jumped on me. Grand Rising Copper Pride. I think that's everybody. If we missed you, just let us know. We'll catch you up. Definitely catch you up. Oh, Free said Yasha Rala. I am so glad I did not say that. Thank you, LJ Free. We would have had a brand new subscriber, and a brand new unsubscriber.
Grand opening.
You'd be like, you know what, this dude can't even read. So yeah.
Yeah, I say if we do not pronounce your whole name, no, we're not ignoring you. It's because we're showing the respect and don't want to butcher it.
Yeah.
Because we will do it.
I'm real
all
good
these
at
different
speaking
foreign languages every day.
Mm-hmm. I'm real good at speaking.
What language we speaking today? What we speaking today? Oh,
listen.
we still Spanish. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be that good old Iberian. Remember, Spanish is not a place or a people. It comes from Hispaniola, which is a Latin word for Iberian Peninsula. So they are Iberians. They speak a Latin dialect.
Yep.
So what did we learn yesterday? Well, we learned that in South America, there were no Africans. Even though history teaches it that they were sent. Go ahead.
I'm about to say no Africans, but a boat and boats loaded of Germans.
Mm-hmm. 7 colonies in Argentina alone. 70 colonies in Argentina alone, and no Africans.
Mm-hmm.
That's
all
very
Germans.
We also learned that Ghana was created by the British. What else did we learn? From what James Flames dropped in the chat yesterday, Andes equals Indios equals Indian. Guinean equals Guinea equals Guinea, which equals Guyana. We also learned that the Germans that came over here were requested. They didn't come over here seeking any political asylum or religious freedom. They were recruited.
And had choices, either North America for Protestant or South America for Catholics.
So we know that over 4 million Germans came over to South America, in addition to the 8 million or 7.5 million that came to the States. That's a lot of people, y'all.
Think about it. To this day, what was it? 49.8 or 0.5% of their population is 49 million. And in the South and North America, we hold 1/3 of the entire German population on the planet is in North and South America alone.
Exactly. So what we
a whole lot of people.
Yeah, what we basically learned is the history of Argentina and Brazil does not match what the slave ship records tells us. So somebody lying. That's all I'm saying. I don't know why they lying, but somebody lied.
Fibbing.
That's not cool. So let's go ahead and hit this clock. And we're going to go ahead and do what we do.
Like we do about this time.
Exactly. So let's punch that clock. Everybody with a ratchet, hand out the equipment, and let's get ready to do what we do. All right. Dan says, "What tribe are you brothers part of?" Well, we got Sister Sue, Dan. So, I am Issa or Issa. You may know him as a Catawba Sapani. So that's where.
Same here. Catawba, Issa, but we have Natchez. Choctaw.
That's right.
You know, basically made up of a mixture of different tribes.
Yeah, no one tribe.
Tuscarora. Yeah, we have a Tuscarora, Catawba, Natchez, Choctaw.
And then you got many of us who have lines that go into many different tribes. So hopefully that answers your question. So where was we at? Dan says he's Powhatan, Blackfoot, and Cherokee. So what?
I got Powhatan. Yeah, I got a Powhatan line and a Cherokee line in my family.
Yeah, you're gonna learn that. Powhatan line is from the Haudenosaunee. That's from that line.
Yep.
The Cherokee, they're from the the Cherokee is a big confederation. It's like the Blackfoot are made up of 7 confederations, supposedly of Haudenosaunee tribes. So, yeah. What you want to do, and what we encourage everybody to learn, is the names that your ancestors called themselves. That way, we don't get caught up in the language, because even though we're called Catawba, that's not what our ancestors called themselves. So we go by Issa. I just use Catawba as a reference point for most people. So hopefully that helps. So what we gonna talk about today, good peoples? What we got to talk about today? Yes, LJ. See, I wanted LJ Free to tell her line, because she comes from like 12 lines, so she could do Sakari, Issa, Anahuac. See, look, there she go, name in the list. All right, so I'm putting a link in the chat. So, how about we do this? That's the link. Yes, Free. Seriously, you got about 12 lines that you can pick. 6 million ways to try it. Choose one. Anyway.
Credit line?
No, tribe. Stop.
Oh, my bad.
Before we go into it too, I just got a comment that was emailed to me. We must remember a lot of times when we're watching some of our elders speak about our Indian history and they use the term black, they know what it means, but they use it because it's the common identifier that the majority of our people in the States use. So a lot of people that's coming into this information, they don't understand American Indian or Native American. So a lot of our elders will use the term black when they're speaking in an open forum like that. So they mean no disrespect about it. It's just a common language that everybody in the States will understand who they're talking about.
Yeah, it goes back to the reason why when someone asks me what tribe I'm part of, I will say Catawba first, because if I say Issa, most people won't even know what that is. And sometimes when I say Catawba, they don't even know what that is. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Sam, we talked about the video from last night. So yeah, at the end of the day,
what? We were told last week Catawba wasn't real. I'm sorry.
yeah, go to South Carolina, go to Ohio, tell them that and see what happens. Yeah, go on their reservations and tell them they ain't real. Let me know how they go. So, you want to talk a little bit about the video last night, Bones?
Yeah, we can, because I got a couple of more coming. Last night video, it was actually recorded. It's older. It's a little bit older. But it's showing that you do have Indian chiefs that look like us. That you do have tribes that look like us. That the physical description of color of the American Indian goes from the darkest of dark to the lightest of light. And that we have to stop falling for this colorism that was thrown on us to make us separate ourselves from each other. A lot of us lived through the age to remember they had us separating from our lighter skinned brothers and sisters, or high yellow, or you too dark, light skin in. You know, so it's showing you, instead of us constantly telling you and reading from books or literature, you get to actually hear it from the chief's mouths. You get to hear it from tribal members who have been in their tribes working and doing genealogy. And it backs up what we're reading. And like I said, again, a lot of times when they use the term Black or African American, you have to realize that's the common used term for us in the Americas. So they don't lose people. They use the term that people are most commonly used to hearing. And that's all that is.
Exactly.
Plus, like I said, we're going to try our best to make sure every evening we have some very important information, either dealing with tribes and the chiefs speaking, or National Archive breakdowns on how to find state records and local records. So, like I said, if the relatives enjoy it, we're going to keep bringing it to you. And during the weekend, all these episodes will be constantly shown on Ain't. So if you don't want to come on YouTube to rewatch them, you can always go to www.autonomousassembly.com, click on media, go over to Ain't, which is American Indian Network Television, and it's 24/7. So anything of any importance, that show will be streamed, will be running on there.
Exactly. Yeah, Dan was asking what relationship do we have with the Mongoloids tribes out west. We don't have any relationships with them. We don't have an issue with them either. We're a nonprofit organization, and our main focus is to help people do their genealogy. So I'm sure there will be people who may have lines that go out that far, and so if we need to reach out to them so that they can help those individuals tie in, if that's what they choose to do, then that's what we'll do. So right now we don't have any relationships with the Mongoloid tribes, but we don't have any issues with them either, if that makes sense. So, y'all ready to do this? Alright, so today we're going to be talking about Álvar Nunez, Cabeza de Vaca. And I've already put the link in the chat. So, hopefully, you'll be able to follow along, be able to do your own research, and make any corrections as needed. All right, no sellout. Do you have the link? Uh-oh. Maybe he does. Give me a second.
Right now.
What you say?
Huh.
What are you talking about?
Mic check. Am I good? Can I be heard?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. But what link you talking about?
The link that I put in the chat.
I gotta scroll back. My bad. I put links in the chat. I don't see your link. Oh, there it is. It was right above my link. Álvar, Núñez, Cabeza de Vaca. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm back. I just seen a comment in there that Dan had, speaking on the Mongoloid tribes out west, what our relationship is with them. To be honest, it depends. It depends on what their stance is towards the American Indian. If you take the stance that the American Indian is one particular set of people, then yeah, it's going to be hard for us to work with you when facts show that we came from the lightest of light to the darkest of dark. And if any tribe that's identifying Indians by just the eye test, yeah, we can't rock with that either.
All right. Hopefully that answers the question. So,
Man, we are getting questions, comments, concerns, and/or corrections. I like it.
Yeah, make sure you send those questions to the email address.
Yeah, we got plenty of space in the email. Any questions?
All right, so let's get ready because Choctaw Jimmy is chomping at the bit. I know, right? He says finally some questions. So ready when you are, no sellout.
Ready for what?
Reading.
Oh.
Did you say ready for what?
No, I was ready for the world. Álvar, Núñez, Cabeza de Vaca. Spanish pronunciation is not getting pronounced. So Jerez de la Frontera. Okay, no. Was a Spanish explorer of the New World and one of 4 survivors of the 1527 Narváez expedition. During 8 years of traveling across the U.S. Southwest, he became a trader and faith healer to various Native American tribes before reconnecting with Spanish civilization in Mexico in 1536. After returning to Spain in 1537, he wrote an account first published in 1542 as La Relación y Comentarios, the Account and Commentaries, which in later editions was retitled Naufragios y Comentarios, Shipwrecks and Commentaries. Cabeza de Vaca is sometimes considered a proto-anthropologist for his detailed accounts of many tribes of Native Americans that he encountered.
Stop for a second.
Right there, at the period? Yeah, I got you.
Really? That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing right now.
I like how Native Americans being thrown around in 1536.
Right, when the America wasn't established, you couldn't have been a native to America, but
timelines.
That means somebody's already changing the narrative. That's like back during that time calling the whole continent Africa when it was at that time Ethiopia or like Libya. So yeah. So what we're seeing is he is considered a proto-anthropologist for his detailed accounts on the many tribes of Native Americans that he encountered. What is an anthropologist? Because we want to see what his quote-unquote credentials are.
Somebody who polished ants? No, let me stop.
Why? Or somebody who apologizes for ants? Anyway.
But that term Native American at this time, we know it doesn't fit. Because what is the proper definition of a Native American? Native American means anyone who's born in America.
And at this time, it wasn't called America. Go ahead.
That's why if you was to take the time out to go talk to a lot of these tribes, they'll get offended if you call them Native Americans. But don't worry, we're going to drop that video too.
Mm-hmm. So it says an anthropologist is a person engaged in the practice of anthropology. Anthropology is a study of aspects of humans with past and present societies. Social anthropology, cultural anthropology, and philosophical anthropology study the norms and values of societies. Linguistic anthropology studies how language affects social life, while economic anthropology studies human economic behavior. Biological, physical, forensic, and medical anthropology studies the biological development of humans. the application of biological anthropology in a legal setting and the study of disease and their impacts on humans over time, respectively. So anthropology is a study of aspects of humans within past and present societies. So now that we know what that means, put that in the link. All right, now back to our regular scheduled program.
Woo-hoo.
So where did I stop you at? No sellout.
The period.
You so crazy.
Dot.
Can you continue to read No Sellout?
Yes, I can.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Two. Mic check. Am I good?
You're stupid.
Just making sure. In 1540, Cabeza de Vaca was appointed adelantado of what is now Argentina, where he was governor and captain general of New Andalusia. He worked to build up the population of Buenos Aires, but charged with poor administration, he was arrested in 1544.
Hold up.
And there wasn't even a period.
New Andalusia. If that's New Andalusia, what was old Andalusia?
Andalusia? Yeah, that's what I want to know. But
what was called Andalusia?
Who wrote this? That's what I want to know, because they got a
think about it. What was the name of Spain before Spain?
Joy.
Andalusia.
Wasn't it Andalusia?
Yes, Andalusia, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was on the time when it was under control of the Ottomans. I'm sorry, go ahead.
The Iberian. So if this is new, who sent him?
That's why they arrested him.
Why would you name it under an Iberian name? Just something to think about.
I mean, that's a fair question.
Oh, it gets better.
Yeah, it does. Man. So where was I? In the middle of the sentence? Yes, thanks, Bones. New Andalusia. I'm going to finish right there. He worked to build up a population of Buenos Aires, but charged with poor administration, he was arrested in 1544 and then transported to Spain for trial in 1545. Although his sentence was not interrupted like that, was eventually commuted, he never returned to the Americas. He died in Seville. Shout out to James Flames for that Seville death reference yesterday. So I had some questions. All right, so anyone? Because I'm going to move on to early life and education.
Go ahead.
Álvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca was born around 1490 into an Hidalgo family, the son of Francisco Nunez de Vera and Teresa Cabeza de Vaca y de Zurita, in the town of Jerez de la Frontera, Cadiz, Spain. Despite the family's status as a minor nobility, they possessed modest economic resources. In 16th century documents, his name appears as Álvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca.
Stop for a second.
I shall.
So, he was born around 1490, so that means he was born around the time that Christopher Columbus was supposed to be getting ready to sail the ocean blue in 1492, right? For Spain under Italian authority, right? Remember that story? But we know that
Spain didn't exist until 1502.
Right, so Spain didn't exist until 1502. France was still in control of Italy, so that couldn't have happened. Again, timelines are important so you know exactly what we're talking about and where we're coming from and where we're going to. So it said he was in the town of Jerez de la Frontera, Cadiz, Spain. Spain didn't exist in 1490. So that would have been where? Iberian Peninsula. Andalusia, yep.
Andalusia, yeah. I said it on mute, my bad.
But you see how they transpose words and put words in places where they don't exist for the time period. That's why we always are emphasizing timeline so we don't get lost and we don't fall for what we call the okie doke. So I just wanted to
can we go back just a little bit, Brother
Sure.
Nocella? Can you back up just a little bit and talk about when he became in charge of that area when he got to the Americas, but because of mismanagement, he was sent where?
I got you. Oh yeah, okay. So he worked to build up the population of Buenos Aires, but charged with poor administration, he was arrested in 1544 and then transported to Spain for trial in 1545. Although his sentence was eventually commuted, he never returned to the Americas. He died in Seville. And he was appointed adelantado, which is now Argentina.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he was
He
governor
went
and
to
captain
Spain
general.
for trial. What they don't tell you is he was found guilty.
Ooh.
And he was banished to Africa. Uh-oh.
Yep.
Wait a minute.
They lifted his sentence. Yep. He was banished to Africa. So now you're going to have a new perspective on this port of no return, but the cannons are facing the ocean and not facing inland. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I just want to throw that out there. But
hold on, man. You just can't be
well, I tripped over after he threw it. He threw it out there. I fell right over it. Thanks, James.
You gonna drop the bomb and then you just gonna peace out. Like I relinquish the mic. You gonna blow up the mic and then hand it back. You can't do that, man. Nah, it don't work right. Anyway. I tell you.
It don't work right.
It don't work right. It's gonna get somebody a broken mic. Where they do that at?
Yeah, he walked away too like it was all right. It was in great condition.
I moonwalked all over it. And if I know somebody gonna say, you send me the link, give me the source. You're not providing the source. So I'm gonna read the source for you. And it is actually free. You can actually, download this book. And I know people gonna look at it frontwards and backwards. But let me give you the title of this book. Let's see.
Something like it's hot.
We have, even though we know this part didn't exist, but this is what they named. They renamed it, but it was all in Portuguese originally. But the English version says Spanish explorers in the southern United States, 1528 through 1543. Álvar, Núñez, let me give you the name. No, let me give you the author's name because it has several explorers. But let me give you. Yeah, and this was actually scanned in by the Harvard College Library. I just want to throw that out there because I'm people are always talking about being pseudo. Let me give you this. It was put together by the general editor, because it was really their own writings of J. Franklin Jameson, PhD, and he was the director of the Department of the Historical Research in the Carnegie Institute of Washington. And anybody that does a little research, you know about what Carnegie and the things that Carnegie has done. So I just want to put that out there because I know somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, send me the link, give me the source. You guys are pseudo. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself." So go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm off the mic.
Appreciate that, James. Thank you for providing the source, instead of holding on to it, telling people that they ain't ready for it or anything crazy. It's all right. Appreciate it.
Dropped it like it's hot.
Oh, that's coming out. Where we
He
at?
almost had me say something stupid.
I know.
I ain't fooling with no sell out this, Roger.
I ain't
Trying to
nobody
set me
doing
up.
that. Ain't nobody doing that. It's Friday. All right, where we at? More. Oh, I see that word there. So Álvar Núñez's maternal surname, Cabeza de Vaca, meaning cow's head, was said to be associated with the maternal ancestor Martín Alhaja, or Haja. He had shown the Spanish king a secret mountain pass marked by a cow's skull, enabling the king to win the Battle of Las Navas de Tolosa against the Muslim Moors in 1212. Did I finish reading the thing up there?
Yes, you did.
Okay, just making sure. Some sources indicate that after his parents died when he was young, the boy... Mic check. Breakdance. Oh, we can...
Oh, it sounds clear now. Big
Good.
back on.
All right. Some sources indicated that after his parents died when he was young, the boy Álvar was taken in by a relative, most likely his aunt and uncle or his paternal grandfather, Pedro de Vera. Evidence suggests that he probably had a moderately comfortable early life. He was appointed chamberlain for the house of a noble family in his teen years, then participated in the conquest of the Canary Islands, where he was appointed a governor. In 1511, he enlisted in the Spanish army, serving in Italy with distinction, Spain and Navarre. Cabeza de Vaca was wounded at the Battle of Ravenna. In 1512, served as a lieutenant in the Italian city of Gaeta, married Maria Marmolejo, who came from a prominent Converso family, and supported King Charles during the revolt of Comuneros. He received several medals of honor and became more of a political figure in Spain. In 1527, Núñez joined the Florida expedition of Conquistador Panfilo de Narváez, or de Narváez, during which he served as treasurer and marshal.
Stop.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Come on, time.
Yeah. Every time you see me.
So look. Again, we must try to correct things as they come up. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was right here where it says he's in 1512 he served as lieutenant in the Italian city of Gaeta. Now you got to remember at this particular time, because we're trying to keep them from, we're trying to make sure that there is no Spanish oversight. In 1512, the town of Italy, or the city of Italy, was still under which rule? Was it under French rule or was it under Spanish rule?
It was on the French, Italy.
Exactly. So again, sometimes when they're writing stuff or when they're putting stuff in, they'll make statements, because we know the previous two paragraphs they talked about Spain, when Spain didn't.
You know what the problem is, too?
Go ahead.
I'm glad you brought it back up. Is when we say Spain, people think of a separate set of people.
Mm-hmm.
No, Spain is ruled by Franks and Germans. The population of Spain is Iberian. The rulership is Germanic. That's why, if you notice, Spain deals with Italy. They deal with the French. They deal with the Germans because they're the same people, just DBAs.
Exactly.
Think about it. These Germans and Franks beat the Iberians. Now, the population in the Iberian Peninsula, they don't leave. These Iberians don't leave. They just renamed them to Spaniards.
Facts. So, again, we want to make sure we stay within the timelines, and this is important because when you're doing your genealogy, you need to know which country is in control at that time, so you'll know exactly which archives to go to. Because if you're going to the Spanish archives in the late 1400s, early 1500s, looking for some family member in Italy, you're not going to find it. You'd have to go to France. So that's the reason why we keep harping on that, because it's important for people to know how to access those timelines or how to access those archives and which archives to access at which time. So when they're trying to trace their lineage, it'll be a lot easier. I'm sorry, go ahead, don't sell out.
We continue. In 1527, Panfilo de Narváez was sent by Spain's King Charles V to explore the unknown territory which the Spanish called La Florida, including not only present-day Florida, but a large, poorly defined section of what today is the southeastern United States. Cabeza de Vaca was attached to this expedition as the expedition's treasurer. Records indicate that he also had a military role as one of the chief officers in the Narváez expedition, noted as sheriff or marshal. On June 17, 1527, the fleet of 5 ships set sail towards the province of Panuco, which was on the western border of Florida. When they stopped in Hispaniola for supplies, Narváez lost approximately 150 of his men, who chose to stay on the island rather than continue with the expedition.
I wonder why they wanted to stay if it was empty.
Man, it's a family-friendly show. But listen, I wonder. Go ahead, James. I heard you say something.
No. Go ahead.
No, I'm ready to read. I ain't got nothing to say. I'm ready to read. No comment. But what? How you 150? Like, I'm not gonna go. This fun exploration of. No, let's just stay right here. Let's stay here. I'm gonna just tuck mine in.
I mean, if 150 of the crew stayed, who was left on the boat?
Was he one of them that stayed too? I don't know. That's crazy. They stopped for supplies and they said, "I don't want to go no. I don't want to fight no more. We're gonna stay here.
I don't want to fight no more.
I don't want to sail no more." So the expedition continued to Cuba, where Cabeza de Vaca took 2 ships to recruit more men and buy supplies. Their fleet was battered by a hurricane, resulting in the destruction of both ships and loss of most of Cabeza de Vaca's men. Narváez arrived days later to pick up the survivors. By February 1528, the remaining ships and men resumed their expedition, reaching Florida in April. They anchored near what is now known as the Jungle Prada site in St. Petersburg, claiming this land as a possession of the Spanish crown. After communicating with the Native Americans, the Spanish heard rumors that a city named Appalachian was full of food and gold. Against the advice of Cabeza de Vaca, Narváez decided to split up his men. Some 300 were to go on foot to Appalachian, and the other would sail to Panuco. Appalachian.
Right,
yep, I will.
I gotta find my mouse. There you go. There it is. Appalachian. Let's see what Appalachian is. The Appalachian had a relatively dense population and a complex, highly stratified society and regional chiefdom. They were part of European culture and an expansive trade network reaching to the Great Lakes. Stop.
Well, was I breaking up or were you breaking up? Did anybody else hear him breaking up?
No, yeah, he was breaking up a little bit.
All right, read that again.
I'll read it again. One more.
Mm-hmm.
It reads that the Appalachian had a relatively dense population and a complex, highly stratified society and regional chiefdom. They were part of the Mississippian culture and an expansive regional network reaching to the Great Lakes. So this means
I thought the Mississippians were supposed to be gone by then.
Come on, man. Come on, baby.
No, I'm for real. They'll tell you that the Mississippian culture, they were gone when people got here. Remember, these areas supposed to be empty, but they try to tell you your U.S. history books. But if these people talking to Mississippians, were you slaves again?
It goes on to read that their reputations were such that when tribes in southern Florida first encountered the Peninsula de Narváez expedition, they said the riches which the Spanish sought could be found in the Appalachian country. The Appalachian place's name is derived from the Narváez expeditions, encountering in 1528 with the Tocobaga, who spoke of the country named Appalachian far to the north. Several weeks later, the expedition entered territory of Appalachian north of the Ancilla River. 11 years later, the Hernando de Soto expedition.
Oh, here go De Soto, man.
Reached the main Appalachian town of Anaheika, somewhere in the area of present-day Tallahassee, Florida, probably near Lake Miccosukee. So we're hearing not only tribe names, but we're hearing names where they're in the United States, but we're talking about South America. Does not anybody hear what's happening here? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It says the Spanish subsequently adapted the Native American, when we know that's not correct. The Spanish subsequently adapted the Indian name as Appalachia and applied it to coastal regional bordering Appalachia Bay, as well as the tribe which lived in it. Narváez expedition first entered Appalachia territory in June 15th, 1528. And the reason why I am not saying Native American, because in 1528, the United States was not called America because it hadn't been called America by those writing history. So they couldn't have been Native Americans. So just want to put that out there. Appalachian is the fourth oldest surviving European place named in the U.S. The name of the term Appalachia is also linked to the tribe. The Yamasee tribe had links into the mountain south it also appears in the Appalachia. Also had such trade and family links linked to Cherokee, Catawba, and other tribes. So this is my tribe. This is somebody else's tribe. And we're talking about the Appalachians. So these tribes are being talked about in the 1528. So that means they must have knew about these tribes. That means these tribes existed. That means they didn't disappear, because when you go back and look at some of the history based off of let the Brits tell it, there was nobody there, or they left, or they disappeared. Anybody want to comment on that part before we go further? Because I'm putting this link in the chat, then we're going back to the main page. Anybody got anything they want? Okay. So you can go ahead and finish reading.
With this process and how full of it these people are and was.
Yeah, they're definitely full of it. No sell out. When you're ready to read, you can go ahead, bro.
All right, had to find the mute button. Mic check.
We got you.
All right. Oh, I'm on the Mississippian culture. Let me get out of here.
Oh, and that part that these people met the Mississippians, when you're told a lot that they were already gone.
Yeah, that part. So after communicating with the Native Americans, the Spanish heard rumors that a city named Appalachian was full of food and gold. Against the advice of Cabeza de Vaca, Narváez decided to split up his men. Some 300 were to go on foot to Apalachen, and the other would sail to Panuco. Apalachen had no gold but had only corn, but the explorers were told a village known as Aute, I believe, Aute, maybe, about 5 or 9 days away was rich. They pushed on through the swamps, harassed by the Native Americans. A few Spanish men were killed and more wounded. When they arrived in Aute, they found that the inhabitants had burned down the village and left. But the fields had not been harvested, so at least the Spanish scavenged food there. After several months of fighting native inhabitants through wilderness and swamp, the party decided to abandon the interior and try to reach Panuco. Slaughtering and eating their remaining horses, they gathered the stirrups, spurs, horseshoes, and other metal items. They fashioned a bellows from deer hide to make a fire hot enough to forge tools and nails. They used these in making 5 primitive boats to use to get to Mexico. Cabeza de Vaca commanded one of these vessels, each of which held 50 men. Depleted of food and water, the men followed the coast westward. But when they reached the mouth of the Mississippi River, the powerful current swept them out into the Gulf, where the 5 rafts were separated by a hurricane. Some lives were lost forever.
Hold on, stop.
Do what?
They can build rafts and boats, but our ancestors wasn't supposed to be able to.
No, we can't.
Stop.
Hold on, stop right quick. Rewind. Dude, look. It said they ate the horses, right? And then after they did that, they built bellows and they forged tools out of nails. I don't know if there's enough heat in that fire to forge those tools, first of all. Second of all, I'm not sure if you can, with all the tools they had, you can forge a boat big enough for 50 men. You know how big that boat would have to be?
Listen, if they wanted to believe that, then they might well say our ancestors saved the world. They need to stop that.
They said the boats were primitive as well. Like, that's the description of the boats. Primitive boats.
How primitive is it if it can hold 50 people?
So primitive? Caveman can do it. I don't know.
I mean, I just wanted to put that out there because I'm thinking, okay, you have enough to make 2 crabs, about 40 survivors each. But then up here it says each of which held 50 men. So which one was it? 50 or about 40? About 40, correct me if I'm wrong. The way we understand English is about 40 means it's close to but not over 40. But then it says it held 50 men. Am I missing something? Or am I reading too much into it? Because 20 men can make a difference. I got something for that narrative. Where that? Let me say. That don't make any sense to me. Does that make sense to y'all, or is that just me?
I got
it. I don't know. This is what I think about that.
Why you always lying?
They lying. One paragraph it says it held 50 men. That's a definite statement. Which held 50 men. Then in the next paragraph it says 2 crabs with about 40 survivors each. So how do you lose 20 people in a paragraph in less than 4 sentences? I'm just saying. I'm sorry. Anyway. Where are we at?
Am I indisposed? Predisposed? What's the word? See, I think I'm indisposed.
I know, I got you. I saw. I did pay attention to the back chat this time, so I got you.
It's Friday.
He says, "Am I indisposed?" I don't know. Are you? I'm just saying.
I'm just trying to be verbose, making sure I'm using the right wordage. Might have to Google that.
Trying to be very bows. What that mean?
Very bows there. Everywhere at one place doing all the stuff in the background. Bows.
Stop it. Anyway, it goes on to read, it said, so they were depleted of food and water, and men followed the coast westward. But when they reached the mouth of the Mississippi River, the powerful current swept them out into the Gulf, where the five rafts were separated by a hurricane. Some lives were lost, however, including that of Narváez. Wait a minute. Did y'all see this? 5 rafts. So what were they? Boats, crafts, or rafts? Is a vessel considered a raft?
It's a transformer.
They went from a vessel with 50 people in it to a raft.
Boats, crabs, potatoes, tomatoes.
And hold on. Think about y'all know what a hurricane can do when it hits land, right? And y'all know once it hits land, it loses power. Can you imagine what it did to rafts in the middle of the Gulf? Where the majority
I guess
of
they knew what the inside of a washing machine felt like.
So it says 2 crafts with about 40 survivors each, including Cabeza de Vaca, wrecked on near the Galveston Island. So that means, then it goes on to read, which is now part of Texas. It says of the 80 or so survivors, only 15 lived past that winter. The explorers called the island Majando, ill-fated in Spanish, or the Island of Doom. They tried to repair the rafts using what remained of their own clothes as oakum to plug holes, but they lost the rafts to a large wave. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. Yes, I did. As the number of survivors dwindled rapidly, they were enslaved for a few years by various American Indian tribes of the upper Gulf Coast. What? Hold on.
Yep.
Hold on. Nope.
Oh man.
Why doesn't
this was happening everywhere, all over the Americas? That's why you keep hearing about, this ship crashed, that ship crashed. So how are they getting 100, 200 slaves on a ship when they crashing and they are being enslaved because they have nowhere to go? They are shipwrecked. Notice every time we read a narrative, it goes from the 1500s, then all of a sudden these wars start breaking out in the late 1700s, early 1800s. So 200 years, you allowed all these Europeans to come and take over. Wasn't done that way. And there was so many of them that was saying that they were not going any further, like we just read, because they said the women were beautiful, they were adorned with all these precious jewels, and they smelled good. So that let you know that the European women must be stank.
So you mean to tell me we're gonna go back to that scene in Harlem Nights where Frankie makes that call after being with Sunshine? He says, "Put your mom on the phone."
It's Richie. He told his baby, it's Richie. Put your mommy on the phone.
I ain't coming home no more.
I ain't coming home no more. Oh my goodness. First night out.
See what happens when you take a bath and put on some perfume? I mean,
this is a perfume. What's that perfume? That's yogurt perfume?
Parfum is actually a perfume that has more oil and less alcohol.
Some parfait.
Yeah, don't ask me how I know that. I used to be a salesman back in the day.
Oh, well, that's how you know that.
You got parfums, perfumes, and toilettes. But anyway, moving on.
That all day.
Dude.
As the number of survivors dwindled rapidly, they were enslaved for a few years by various American Indian tribes in the upper Gulf Coast because Cabeza de Vaca survived and proposed from time to time. Some scholars argue that he was not enslaved but used a figure of speech. Right. He and other noblemen were accustomed to better living. Their encounters with harsh conditions and weather had been required to work like native women. Must have seemed like slavery. So they're gonna tell us what it must have seemed like to them. Anyway, the tribes to which Cabeza de Vaca was enslaved included the Hans. Included the Hans and the Capoques, and the tribes later called the Karankawa and Coahuiltecan. After escaping only four men, Cabeza de Vaca, Andre Dorantes de Carranza, Alfonso del Castillo, Maldonado, and an African slave of Dorantes, identified in the relación of Álvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca as Esteban Nico. He is an Arabic-speaking black man, a native of Azamor. So wait a minute. Hold on. We got some issues here. I gotta get one of these in. Give me a moment to digest this. So, 4 men escaped slavery, right? One of them happened to be an African slave. Are you kidding me?
Then you're gonna find out that he's Arab.
Right, he's an Arab-speaking black man and native to Azamor. Where is Azamor? Hold on. We gonna nip this in the bud right here, right now.
Morocco.
Yep, right on time.
Which was still Iberians, your Berbers. It's still the same folk. And these were your translators. Now we're going to start sliding into linguistically. Because why is Esteban, one of my baseball players, because I'm a baseball fan, was named Esteban Loaiza. So I will call him Esteban Loaiza in honor of him today. Why is he there? What is he doing? And why does he turn out to be a translator? Go ahead, continue. I'm sorry. I yield the mic.
No, man, this this what you do. This your specialty. I'm just here reading. I'm in class just like everybody else. Traveling mostly with his small group, Cabeza de Vaca explored what is now the U.S. states of Texas, as well as the northeastern Mexican states of Tamaulipas, Nuevo Leon, and Coahuila, and possibly smaller portions of New Mexico and Arizona. He traveled on foot through then colonized territories of Texas and the coast. He continued through Coahuila and Nueva Vizcaya. Wait a minute. Stop. When did Texas stop being colonized, James? Because Texas didn't become a state till the late 1800s. So when did Texas start becoming colonized? Because I thought all that area was owned by the Iberians. So I guess that's what they're talking about. That's when the Iberians were colonized.
Texas was never colonized. That's why the names of these establishments are still the same. And you will find people that look like us that said our people have always been here. And they're saying that he traveled by foot. That is a lie from the pits of HW hockey sticks. He didn't travel by foot. He traveled by camel and he traveled by boat because we were trying to help them out, as you read a little bit later, until they figure out that what they were doing wasn't on the up and up. And I didn't mean to spoil it all, but my man Esteban Loaiza gets assassinated because he tried to be a double crosser. And the
Bingo.
Indians put him to rest. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I yield the mic.
No, man, I mean, that's what's up. That's what happens when you're a double crosser. You get crossed out. X marks the spot. Stop playing. AKA, don't do that.
And you know, but I would tell you, but the reason why they were letting him make it, because I will tell you the rest of the story, and then we go ahead and go forward. I'm sorry. The reason why they let him make it is because he looked like the Indians. And then when they find out that, oh, you're working for them, and they killed him. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, that's real talk. That come on, man. Again, we start allowing people that look like us to derail us because they look like us. And everybody that look like you is not for you. They're not on your team. So you gotta pay attention. So all of you that are dealing with these scammers, stay as far away from me as possible. Cause just because you look like me, that don't mean I'm down with your scheming and your scamming. We don't roll like that over here. So I just wanted to correct it because I knew that Texas hadn't been colonized. It's interesting how they create and spin this narrative, and if you're not paying attention, you don't understand the timelines, then you realize that they're lying, and they're lying because they're trying to create this story, and it's just crazy. This should be in the fiction section. But anyway, let's see, where are we at? It says he continued through Coahuila and Nueva Vizcaya, present-day states of Chihuahua and Durango, then down the Gulf of California coast to what is now Sinaloa, Mexico, over a period of roughly 8 years. Throughout those years, Cabeza de Vaca and other men adapted to the lives of the indigenous people that stayed with whom he later described as roots people, the flash and blackberry people, or the fig people, depending on their principal foods. There they go naming people. Instead of asking what they call themselves, and then you call them by that name, you're just gonna name them based off of what they eat. You so stupid. I guess we should call you swine. But anyway, moving on, I digress. During his wanderings, passing from the tribe to tribe, Cabeza de Vaca later reported that he developed sympathies for the indigenous peoples. Sympathies? Okay, ignore that. He became a trader and a healer, which gave him some freedom to travel among the tribes. A healer? Who the hell?
Yep.
Who? What? Man,
remember what James told you. He was able to pass.
So
it's the same thing that the chief said last night. The reason why certain information they no longer just pass around freely, because some people who look like you aren't you. They can come in and use that information, then turn around and use it against you.
Mm-hmm. Be careful, YouTube, with those YouTube subscribers that you got to be reach out to in the back chats. Everybody that look like you ain't for you. He says he became a healer, which gave him the freedom to travel among the tribes. As a healer, Cabeza de Vaca used blowing, like the Native Americans, to heal, but claimed that God and the Christian cross led to... Are you kidding me? Led to his success. I'm sorry, y'all. My apologies. His healing of the sick gained him a reputation as a faith healer. His group attracted numerous native followers who regarded him as children of the sun. Endowed with the power to heal and destroy, as Cabeza de Vaca grew healthier, he decided that he would make his way to Panuco, supporting himself through trading. He finally decided to try to reach the Spanish colony in Mexico. Many natives were said to accompany the explorers on their journey across what is now known as the American Southwest and the northern Mexico. This is making my head hurt. After finally reaching the colonized lands of New Spain, where he first encountered fellow Spaniards, remember, it was a new Iberia. There's no such place as Spain. Where he first encountered fellow Iberians near modern-day Culiacan, Cabeza de Vaca and the 3 other men reached Mexico City. From there, he sailed back to Europe in 1537. So after all that time, he finally makes it. Copper Pride said, "You sound disgusted." Copper Pride, I am disgusted. And I'm sorry for not paying attention to the chat, because this is getting on my last nerve. LJ Free says, "Smokestacks on those steamboats looking just like the headdresses you see on Indios on the runaway slave post." Grand Rising, Pamela Hall, hashtag my favorite former name, Pamela Hall. Grand Rising Golden Moon, aka KD. And he puts in the chat, Texas wasn't colonized to the late 1800s, early 1900s. We was pushed the Apaches and the Comanches off this land. Thanks for that, Golden Moon. Yes, Lady Free, they do play too much. Yeah, they're Portuguese as well. Because Portugal...
But you got to remember, what is Portuguese? Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
Portuguese ain't real either.
Nope.
They Gauls from out of France. Going back to Germanic houses. Let's not forget this.
Thank you, Bones. All right, let's go back. Numerous researchers have tried to trace his roots across the Southwest, as he did not begin writing his chronicles until he was back in Spain. He had to rely on memory. He did not have the instruments, clock, and astrolabe to determine his location. He had to rely on dead reckoning and was uncertain of his route. Aware of this recollection, his numerous errors in chronological and geography, historians have worked to put together pieces of the puzzle to discern his past. How many of y'all believe that?
I don't, because if they don't know, if he couldn't remember, how the hell 200, excuse my language, how 200 years later you don't know? I'm sorry, I'm like TMA, that's why I've been quiet so much. I'm like, come on, y'all gotta stop this. Yeah, if he couldn't recall his trip, his journey, his actual location, somebody who wasn't with him gonna remember this 100 years later? How can you remember if you wasn't there?
Free Carter, she says, phantom and duplication in the timelines. America has been at war for the majority of its existence, mainly against the American Indian. How did they get us to stop fighting? Think about it.
They gave you folklore, folk stories to believe in.
Exactly. In 1540, Cabeza de Vaca was appointed adelantado of the Rio de la Plata. Remember the Rio de la Plata? Remember that? In South America. The colony comprised parts of what is now Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. Cabeza de Vaca was assigned to find a usable route from this colony to the colony in Peru, on the other side of the Andes Mountains, on the Pacific coast. Andes, Indios, Indians. En route, he disembarked from his fleet at Santa Catarina Island in modern Brazil, with an indigenous force plus 250 musketeers and 26 horses. He followed native trails discovered by Alexio Garcia overland to the district's Spanish capital, Asuncion, far inland in the Great Paraguay River. Cabeza de Vaca is thought to have been the first European to see the Iguacu Falls. What is that? Let's see. The Iguazu Falls, or Iguacu Falls. I'm gonna put this in the chat. Copy. Okay, it says Chororo Yuguasu. Chororo Yuguasu are waterfalls of the Iguazu River on the border of Argentina province of Misiones and the Brazilian state of Paraná. Together, they make up the largest waterfall system in the world. The falls divide the river into the upper and lower Iguazu. The Iguazu River rises near the heart of the city of Curitiba. For most of its course, the river flows through Brazil. However, most of the falls are on the Argentine side. Below its confluence with the San Antonio River, the Iguazu River forms the boundary between Argentina and Brazil. Now, I didn't know that. That sounds like what separates the United States from Canada. Am I close?
Yep.
It says the name Iguazu comes from the Guarani or Tupi words, E meaning water and Uasu meaning big. Legend has it that the deity planned to marry a beautiful woman and named Naipi, who fled with her mortal lover Taroba in a canoe. In a rage, the deity sliced the river, creating the waterfalls, and condemned the lovers to an eternal fall. The first European to record the existence of the falls was Spanish conquistador Álvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca in 1541. And there you have it, good peoples. Alright, so where we at? In March 1542, Cabeza de Vaca met with Domingo Martinez de Irala and relieved him of his position as governor. Did he just beast on dude? He just deboed him. It said he relieved him of his position as governor. Yeah, you won't be needing that title no more. The governor of Asunción pledged loyalty to Cabeza de Vaca, and Irala was assigned to explore a possible route to Peru. Once Irala returned and reported, Cabeza de Vaca planned his own expedition. He hoped to reach Los Reyes, a base that Irala set up, and push forward into the jungle in search of a route to the gold and silver mines of Peru. Remember, Argentine means what? The expedition did not go well, and Cabeza de Vaca returned to Asunción. During his absence, Irala had stirred up resistance to Cabeza de Vaca's rule and capitalized on political rivalries. Scholars widely agreed that Cabeza de Vaca had an unusually sympathetic attitude towards the Native Americans for his time, and they're not Native Americans, they're American Indians or Indios. The elite settlers in modern Argentina, known as encomenderos, generally did not agree with his enlightened conduct toward the natives. They wanted to use them for labor. Because he lost elite support and Buenos Aires was failing as a settlement, not attracting enough resistance, Martinez de Irala arrested Cabeza de Vaca in 1544 for poor administration. The former explorer was returned to Spain in 1545 for trial. Stop.
Bottom line, De Vaca fell in love with our culture and our women. He brought back no silver, no gold, no precious jewels, lied and said he didn't know where he was. So this is what it was leading up to this. The German Empire. Go ahead, Brother Bones.
Who fed him? When he wrecked out, who do you think saved his life? These people were lost, shipwrecked, hungry, starving. Knowing our ancestors, they took him in. And in return, he probably looked, oh, hold on, can't do these people like that. I'm waiting for these people out, we ain't be here right now. Just another thought. Sorry about that, James.
No, you're good, because that is what actually happened. And those people that he ran into are still there today. You'll find them in the Galveston area, Beaumont area, but this is still the same branch of what we call Arawak. The same people that were showing him where to go and what to do. That's why earlier when you read that some of them that came to him said, nope, we're not going any further. We love it here. We are being treated like royalty. We're being treated better than we were over there dealing with the German Empire. So they sent for him. That's why he got his title taken away, because they knew he was lying. They're saying, wait a minute, your man keep wanting to stay. You shipwrecked. Then you say you don't remember which way you came. It sounds familiar. Took the same path as Columbus. Because remember, Columbus said he said the same thing, said he was lost. Y'all recall that? They didn't want to go back. Y'all gonna keep finding out what was really going on. They wanted to come over here and set up shop, because we still do it today. That's why I gave the example of my grandmother. I could have literally just eaten a 4-course meal. And when I walk through the door, my grandma's gonna say, baby, you look like you need something to eat. You hungry. I know you're hungry. They're gonna make you eat. They're gonna take care of you. That's the same thing that they did to him and his men. I'm telling you. So then what happened to Esteban Loaiza is when he started saying more, I work with more men that look like them, and that's where I'm from. And they couldn't figure out, saying, wait a minute, you look like us, but you work for them, and that's what got him killed. Y'all don't have to believe me. Do your research, and you're gonna find out for yourself what is going on. They made him because, again, ʻvaka, because I'm giving his name, ʻvaka was also Arab. Don't let these people fool you by where they were born. It is who they are. His name ties back to being Arab. So if the Arabs, and we know what they look like, and he can blend in with the people that were over here, then who were these Indians again? And I'm not talking about your modern day people gonna say, oh yeah, look at them. No, I'm not talking about Europeans that speak Arabic.
Not the European Arabic, yeah.
We're talking about Arabic. The real Arabic. We're talking about the ʻvaka and the ʻvaka. All of these families, all of these groups, you'll find out what they look like. Again, why is he being able to blend in? And again, he had to know some words, because who was translating? Again, Esteban, translator. After being over here, you gonna tell me that they never communicated with the ʻvaka and he never communicated with them? We're gonna get into linguistics here in a minute. I yield the mic.
You're gonna learn today. You're gonna learn today.
It's warming up. About to be a fire.
LJ Free says, Nana gonna make sure you keep some meat on your bones. She gonna feed you. Tell me I'm lying. Nah. Nana gonna make sure you get taken care of. And like that rapper Foxy Brown said, then once they put that L Nana on you, then you really gonna stay. I'm just saying. That's another thought.
See, that's why I wanted Lady Free in here, but she dodged it. Why I told her earlier, she know why they wanted to stay.
Dodge, duck, dip, dodge.
Ooh, nah.
Don't, hey man, family. It's a family-friendly show.
Y'all leave Free alone. Leave Free alone. Free doing what Free do. That's why she free.
Ooh la la la.
Them sirens.
Goofy. That's your copy. Is that your copy Indio laugh? Shout out to Copy Indio.
We're copy at. Shout out to the 7x7.
We did that wrong. That laugh goes.
Yeah. Oh. You gotta cut it off.
Before we continue,
please copy Indio. You know we mentioned you.
Yep.
Although eventually exonerated, Cabeza de Vaca never returned to South America. He wrote an extensive report on the Rio de la Plata colony in South America, strongly criticizing the conduct of Martinez de Irala. The report was bound with his earlier relación and published under the comentarios. He died poor in Seville around the year 1560. So basically, they would not let him come back because they knew he was going to be well received. He's going to be well taken care of. And when they found the gold and the silver, they was not going to let him have any. So that was his punishment. That's basically what that boils down to. It's like when you stay out past curfew, because you're over your friend's house and you're hanging out over your significant, girlfriend or boyfriend, and your parents put you on punishment so you can't go back out. That's what happened. Anyway. So, La Relación of Álvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca is the account of his experiences with the Narváez expedition and after being wrecked on Galveston Island in November 1528. Cabeza de Vaca and his last 3 men struggled to survive. They wandered along Texas coast as prisoners of the Han and Copuque, American Indians, for 2 years. Couldn't have been American Indians because they were not. This place was not called America at that time. So let's just say Turtle Island. While Cabeza de Vaca observed the people picking up their ways of life and customs, they traveled through the southwest of Turtle Island and ultimately reached Mexico City nearly 8 years after being wrecked on the island. That's a long time to be wrecked on the island, 8 years. Somebody had to take care of you, especially if you weren't no farmer. I'm just saying that you don't know what to eat versus what not to eat. And I don't know if any of y'all been to South America, but they got some stuff down there that if you touch it, look at it wrong, it will kill you. I mean, kill with a T.
Got them alien strains. I see.
They got frogs in Panama that got enough venom in it to kill over 200 men. Stop playing. In 1537, Cabeza de Vaca returned to Spain where he wrote his narratives of the Narváez expedition. These narratives were collected and published in 1542 in Spain. They are now known as the Relation of Álvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca. The narrative of Cabeza de Vaca is the first European book devoted completely to the continent now known as North America. His detailed account describes the lives of numerous tribes of American Indians of the time, aka Indios. Cabeza de Vaca showed compassion and respect for native peoples, which together with the great detail he recorded distinguishes his narrative from others of the period. So if anybody can find this book, you might want to get it. The Relation of Álvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca, the narrative of Cabeza de Vaca. Moving on. Role of observer. Cabeza de Vaca reported on the customs and ways of American Indian life, aware of his status as an early European explorer. He spent 8 years with various peoples, including the Copuque, Han, Alvar, and Arbadillo. He describes details of the culture of the Malhado people, the Copuque and Han American Indians, such as their treatment of offspring, their wedding rites, and their main sources of food. Cabeza de Vaca and his 3 fellow survivors of times that served as slaves to the American Indians to survive. Through his observations, Cabeza de Vaca provides insights into the 16th century American Indian life near the present-day Mexico-Texas border. For many people, the accounts of Cabeza de Vaca and Hernando de Santo are the only written records of existence. Excuse me for a second. By the time the next European contact, many had vanished, possibly from disease carried by Cabeza de Vaca and his companions. Stop.
Man, they need to stop this. This man came to disease. It didn't kill him, but it killed everybody else. Man.
And it took over 8
This is
years.
I'm sorry, before you go, this is what I was going to say. The reason why he got labeled as a healer, if you're coming over here with syphilis, then you know what you gave the women. So therefore, you know the cure. Now yield the mic.
Wow. So you give the disease, you give the cure, now you're the healer. You nasty.
It's just like the car alarm companies. Car alarms were made by carjackers. If you jack in the car, you know exactly what to do to stop somebody else from doing it. Same philosophy.
That's why they call it low jack, because you're jacking on the low.
Yes, sir.
Pamela Hall says, can you see two Indian males coming together and introduce them by name? I'm from Cherokee tribe, and the second guy goes, I'm from I am not reading that. And they fight, and then a fight break out. Exactly, free. Smallpox equals syphilis. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Think about it. Ain't no cure for smallpox. So all the Europeans was cool with it. It was only us that it did something to. Man, then what about all them European smallpox outbreaks? They need to stop. Really.
Ambassador for Christ, it says, one of Cabeza de Vaca's greatest achievements of his journey was that he played an important role as an ambassador to bring peace throughout the land. As the party of travelers passed from one tribe to the next, warring tribes would immediately make peace and become friendly, so that the narrators could receive the party and give them gifts. What? Come on, man. Cabeza notes in his personal account of his journey that in this way, he left the whole country in peace. Bull caca. Cabeza saw that these events as part of his mission and purpose, in America acknowledging in his account that he believed that God was guiding us to where he could serve him. Can somebody explain that part to me? He brought peace to the tribes.
What it was, if you read in between the lines, he was the person that was able to speak to and for the tribes and speaking towards the Spanish. Because he was the ambassador between the Spaniards and American Indians. So in a sense, by being an ambassador and broken deals so people don't fight and this and that, I can see in a sense why he would try to say that.
Okay.
So it was about self-preservation, because if they're fighting, and you think at this time, the Huguenots were here. Labeled as what we say was the French were already here. So they were established as what we would call today Native Americans. So you have those Huguenots in land conflict with the Indians. So he's the go-between. He can speak both languages. It was in his best interest to stop them from fighting, because they were going to send more conquistadors over, which means he wouldn't be able to do what he's doing.
Yep. So you get the tribes to start warring with each other, then they start forming large confederations as these Europeans come. You don't need confederations to fight local tribes. That's just tribe on tribe, like hood on hood.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I'm like, savior, man. Why it always got to be somebody that got to save us? Why can't we save ourselves? Anyway. It says, Cabeza's greatest challenge as an ambassador came when he attempted to bring peace between the conquering Spanish army and the natives. Cabeza approached Iberia settlement. He and his companions were very grieved to see the destruction of the native villages and enslavement of the natives. The fertile land lay uncultivated, and the natives were nearly starving, hiding in the forest for fear of the Spanish army. That don't sound right.
Basically, what was going on, our ancestors started moving back into the wood lines and more north, because the one thing about the Spanish, when they came through villages, they burned it down. Mm-hmm. They burnt everything down. So they didn't leave anything for nobody to come back to. They destroyed the farmlands. They just torched everything in sight.
Sound like they had some Viking blood in them, boy. Cabeza then encountered Diego de Narváez, commander of slavery expedition of about 20 horsemen, and attempted to negotiate peace between them and the natives. However, as soon as they departed, Diego went back on his word and plundered Cabeza's entourage of natives that he had sent back home. Not long after his Cabeza encounter, the chief alcalde, Spanish captain to the province, named Melchor Diaz ordered Cabeza to bring the natives back from the forest so they would recultivate the land. Cabeza and Melchor invited the natives to convert to Christianity, and the natives did so willingly. Cabeza instructed them to build a large wooden cross in each village, which would cause members of the Spanish army to pass through the village and not attack it. Soon after, the Diego de Alvar's expedition returned and explained to Melchor they were shocked at how they, on their return journey, not only did they find the land repopulated, but the natives coming to greet them with crosses in hand and also gave them provisions. Melchor then ordered Diego that no harm would be done to them.
What did the chief say last night? That a lot of your ancestors picked up these crosses in Christianity for what reason?
Protection.
To save them, for protection. Because what was the Spanish? If you go back to Doom Die verses, what did they say? All non-Christians were considered heathens and you killed them. So once these people identified as Christians, the Spanish crown couldn't touch them.
Right, because
so
they were
now,
heathens.
Your ancestors identified as Christians, some of them for 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, 1900s. Who is going to change? If you've been this for that long in your family line, that's how we got a lot of these things that were done for one reason, and over hundreds of years, they became habits, and you forgot the reason and the meaning for it.
But you know what it reminds me of? A passage in the Bible where it talks about you put a cross on your door, and then an angel of death will pass by you because you're saved. That's basically that's basically a layover story, an overlay story.
But look at it this way: what is an angel of death? An angel of death dealing with people, or people that's walking through slaughtering people. You got to remember, their whole purpose and justification for what they did in North and South America, we were non-Christians.
Right, because this is also during the time of the Crusades.
Exactly. Remember, the Crusades was going on at the same time this is happening. The Crusades was about what? Converting everybody to Christianity. Think about it. If you had people over there in Europe identifying with the crosses, for what reason? Not to be slaughtered, to be left alone. Didn't they kick out the Protestants right before all this?
And they end up going to England and Australia and Africa. Yeah.
See, when they tell you religion is a tool, you need to break that down. Religion is a tool that can free you or enslave you. Now, what does that mean? Okay, if you follow it blindly, it can enslave you. If you use it like our ancestors did, it freed them. The problem is over 300 to 400 years of following a practice and you not in touch with why your ancestors did it, you take on a whole new meaning, a whole new purpose of it. It gets distorted over time. Yeah. It's just like the telephone thing.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Personal report. Sorry. Stop it. Cabeza de Vaca wrote his narrative to Charles V to transmit what I saw and heard in the 9 years I wandered lost and miserable over many remote lands. Remember who Charles V was? He ended up being responsible for getting rid of who? Incas. He ended up becoming the ruler over them. He wanted to convey not merely a report of positions and distances, flora and fauna, but of the customs and numerous indigenous people. I talked with and dwelt among them as well as any other matters I could hear of or observe. He took care of present facts as a full account of what he observed. The relation is the only account of many details concerning the indigenous people whom he encountered. The accuracy of his account has been validated by later reports of others, as well as by the oral traditions of descendants of some of the tribes. Cabeza's account also served as a petition to the King of Spain to both establish permanent Christian missions and eventually establish the native tribes as a nation under the government of Spain. In his reflection, Cabeza writes to the King of Spain, "May God in his infinite mercy grant that in the days of your majesty and under your power and sway these people become willingly and sincerely subjects of the true Lord who created and redeemed them. We believe they will be, and that your majesty is destined to bring it about, as it will not be at all difficult." Cabeza continued
But now you see what he was doing?
Mm-hmm.
He was actually telling the Indians, okay, y'all, listen, these people gonna come. And they gonna come over here trying to wipe every last one of you out. Now this is what we can do. We're gonna rebuild these villages, put crosses up, and y'all walk around with the cross. Then he writes to the king and tell the king, like, listen, you so high and mighty, your power can have these people willingly converting to Christianity. Keep the play.
I got you. So it says American Indian nations noted by name. Cabeza de Vaca identified the following people by name in the La Relación. The following list shows his names together with a scholar suggested in 1990 were likely tribes identified by names used in the 20th century, but by that time tribal identification was also related to more linguistic data. Copaques was Cucos. Diaguanes was Cajunes. Cavienes are the Copanes. The Guayacons are the Guapites. The Camons are the Calancaguases, related to the Calancawa. The Charuco, Viadai Oroquiza. You have the Han, which is the Viadai Oroquiza. Possible Tonkanwa groups. Takawan. But Madika are the Tamikes. Manimes are the Jananames. Iquases are the Anaquas. And the possible Kuahiltikan or desert groups. I'm not reading all this. It's not happening.
A respect to Ohio player, the link that he put in the chat, that's the link to Alvarez's book on archive.org.
Okay, that's what's up.
And he describes what the people look like.
You got to remember, they banished him from Spain in the end because once they realized what dude was doing, that he was actually working with the Indians, they had to get rid of him.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay. Comentarios. In 1555, after a 4-year position as adelantado in Rio de la Plata, Cabeza de Vaca wrote from a memory of chronicle of the Narváez expedition in South America. It is believed that his secretary at the time, Pedro Hernandez, transcribes Cabeza de Vaca's account in what is known as Comentarios. The publication of Comentarios was appended to La Relación as a joint publication in Valladolid, Spain, entitled Naufragios. At that time, explorers were often published their reports of travel in foreign lands. Okay. Then there's a later edition. In 1906, Naufragios was published in a new edition in Madrid, Spain. I wonder why. The introduction says the intent of this edition was to publicize Cabeza de Vaca's observation and experience to strengthen authentic representations. To strengthen authentic representations. This has been described as having the objective of portraying Cabeza de Vaca as less aggressive while trying to authenticate his role as a sympathetic observer of the natives. Okay. Places in Chicano literature. Haven't seen that word in a while. Jerez classifies Cabeza de Vaca's La Relación as the first major contribution to Chicano literature. Scholars have identified 5 major periods of Chicano literature: Spanish, Mexican, Mexican-American, Mexican, Chicano, Renaissance, and modern Cabeza de Vacas. Is classified as part of the Spanish-Mexican period. He recounted 8 years of travel and survival in the area of Chicano culture, present-day Texas, New Mexico, and northern Mexico. His account is the first non-written description of the American Southwest. First known written description of the American Southwest. Y'all need me to keep reading?
See.
Film adaptation. The drama feature film Cabeza de Vaca, 1991, a Mexican production, was directed by Nicholas Echeverria and starred Juan Diego, based on Naufragios. The film was entered into the 41st Berlin International Film Festival. A DVD version was released in 2012. What? Again, you see this? Don't make any sense. Why would a film based in American history be entered into the 31st Berlin International Film Festival and not an American Film Festival? I'll wait.
Because who was in charge of the empire? The empire never failed. It just divided.
Yep.
German. That's why you have all these German towns today. Your Portuguese, the port of the Gauls. Gauls are Celts. Celtics. Germans wear kilts. Irish wear Celts. They're all the same cotton picking people. But I'm still waiting. And I know, Brother Nocella, I don't know if you still here or not, but
yes, I am.
We still searching for all these African ships that came over here with these slaves.
I mean, the timelines, the timeline's not showing any African anything yet. It might be there though. I don't know. No. It might show up. I mean, we're not done with time, so maybe somebody will go put them there so we can find
all these so-called African ships being sent over here, and then they sentence him to go to Africa as punishment because he's over there lying, giving false accounts. Same thing. He took a page right out of Christopher Columbo's book. I don't know where I was, but then off memory, he gives such detailed account of where he was in South America. But when he came to North America and Mesoamerica, I don't recall. Sound like a president we had back in the day. I do. What is?
What is?
I don't recall having, because it's PG for the kids, relations with that woman. I did not.
Oh, you talking the master of not answering the question with a question?
Yeah, what is define what is. I don't know where I am.
Oh my God.
But I don't know where I be. but I don't know where I was, cuz. Come on, son. We still keep falling for that. Where are all these ships when nobody knew? He's giving an account. He's wandering around as a healer because he gave you the disease. See how this goes? It's the same. Now put it on a corporate scale. Again, they give one side guns and rum. They give the other side bigger guns and rum. The winner, it's like, oh, you helped us. Now you're victorious and you're our leader. You bankrupt the people. Hello, corporations. And then you give them infrastructure, give them running water after you have contaminated the water. And now you are their leader. They'll do anything in the world for you because you've dilapidated the neighborhood, but you come out on Thanksgiving and give turkeys and free dinners and stuff. Come on, son, and give coats to the kids. But you're the reason why the parents don't have jobs.
Old school politicians. You come into an area, you mess up the area, then you come back and you fix it a little, and people look at you as the hero. But you was the one that caused it.
Sabotaging hero. We've seen that a few times.
Yeah. Look at the politician. What does a politician do? They vote particular policies that damage your neighborhood. Then they come back and make you promises that elect me and we'll fix this and we'll fix that. It was all the setup for you to vote for them. That's all it ever is.
See how he was a smooth operator like Sade? I'm going to play both sides because now I can speak the language. I'm one of you because I'm a healer. Remember, I healed the women that were sick. Yeah, because you gave it to them. So you healed them. Oh, he's a magical healer. And they got the wooden crosses because the wooden crosses were no different than Kukulkan. Khan. Study Kukulkan. Khan. And you'll find out they're like, oh, this is no different. This is just a little twist on what we already do. Because they still kept their days, what you consider as holy days. You go down, like I say, in Latin America, we still deal with Carnival. We still deal with the Day of the Dead. And you won't find that they don't do that stuff over there, except where the French took it. But you don't see that stuff all in Europe. You don't see the Day of the Dead over there. You don't see Carnival over there. We still, how are we able to keep our days? It was keeping the cross. And anybody that deals with Latin America, again, which is south of the Mason-Dixie line, in a minute, I don't care if they are gangbangers, you will see a cross around their neck. And they literally will be executing people. And line them up and shoot them in the back of the heads, but they got their cross. They're going to wear that cross, and the women going to have them rosary beads. Because that was a signal of, I am one of you, pass by us, angel of death, as it was said earlier. Now you show me a Latino without a cross, and I'll show you somebody that's an imposter. I yield this cotton picking mic.
Ooh la la la.
Don't make any sense. It's a little outlandish. These stories of Lectio de Facilio.
And that's the importance of reading through what was left behind from the different vantage points. You can't read world history just from the America's vantage point. You're missing a whole lot of vantage points now. Remember, it's the truth, the lie. Well, it's his story, and the truth sometimes lie in the middle. So you need all the information as much as possible.
And if you recall, in the famous words of the lady they were trying to save, I use this reference again on Cop Out. Paul, what did she have around her neck? It was a wooden cross that ended up being a thumb drive. So no one could recognize, hey, she's just wearing her regular cross. And for those that keep saying, oh, where are y'all custom? Where are y'all days? I just gave you two. I gave you the Day of the Dead, and I gave you Carnival, and I'm gonna give you another one, Thanksgiving. Don't let the smooth taste fool you, because it's regarding the Green Corn Festival.
Maybe I laugh when people be like, when people ask us, oh, where's our culture? Where's our language? I don't even entertain that because I'll ask them the same question then. So where's your African culture and your African language? Let's stop playing. Somebody without one gonna ask you where yours at.
And I'll take a little survey, especially if your granny was from the South. Without a doubt, your granny made hot water cornbread. Ask an African what hot water, what is this? Hot water cornbread?
No idea. No idea.
And hot water cornbread is what's the main ingredient of hot water cornbread? Corn, because it's corn. Dip it in hot water, and it makes a batter like you would do a fish. They even put the batter on the fish. Come on, son. And Brother Bounds, aka Cobb, unmute yourself. What did you say to people down south were eating? They had a box of it and a spoon. What were they eating down here? Go ahead, hit me.
Cornstarch. Come on, all my relatives in the South, y'all know that tradition. Women walking around eating cornstarch straight out the box with the Indian lady on it, the yellow and blue. Who to this day, 2019, corn is still a major staple of their diet. Grits, cornbread, fried fish. Must we go on?
Bro.
You better give me some cornflakes for breakfast.
I mean, not to be funny, does a person from the continent or what they call Africa even know what a grit is?
I.e., see my previous statement. What is this?
Keep digging with this man. Think about it. We had rice cereals and corn cereals. Even to my island relatives, what do we eat? Porridge, made from cornmeal. Let's stop playing.
Outside of gritting your teeth, that might be what they think grits are. I don't know. Stuff's starting to look real fishy around here. Timeline's not lining up. Dates not lining up. Ain't seen no African nowhere in South America, nowhere, but there's supposed to be a whole boatload of them. Where they at?
Yeah, we about to get to the 1600s. And they telling you about Indians and Iberians.
Am I tripping? Or have we seen more Germans than Africans so far in South America? More Nazis, actually.
Yeah, way more Germans, but what is an African? Isn't an African a creation of the Germans?
Yeah.
Didn't the Germans create the African language? The Afrikaners are
found
German.
some Africans. All right. We found some Africans, y'all, I guess. Maybe. No? Okay. We'll see.
Quick question. Could the African, as we know today, be the Germans' Frankenstein? Just curious.
It's a good listen. It's very well possible. Because the same areas where they tell you in West Africa that these slaves came from, you'll tend to find out that there were German colonies in the 1500s. These same areas. Just look up German colonies of Africa.
I can't wait till we get a real Africana on here. Man.
Uh-oh.
You mean on this channel where proof is not a problem, where we would go talk to the chiefs, we go talk to the sources, we not just reading stuff and just making assumptions? You mean on this channel, Titus Assembly?
You're supposed to say it in your legendary way.
Thomas.
Proof not a partner.
So when they start telling you that their focus was on farming, agriculture, shepherds, they didn't focus anything on education. That's why they couldn't read and write. Gonna get a real Africana on here that's tell you he was the first one in his generation to graduate high school. The first one. Because they were talking about farming and being shepherds, dealing with goats, sheep, and cows. And they came over here and did the same thing. not the British. So he's gonna break it down for you. I can't wait. He's gonna break it down for you and tell you who these people were that were coming over here because they had nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. So they came over here in droves. Like I say again, we talked about those that were brought to North America, and then we're hitting on those that were taken into South America and in Mesoamerica. This is why you're gonna find in the middle of nowhere, you're gonna find a German town. Not just the name of Germantown, but I mean it's named after it is Germanic. And in everything. And those people are still there. Matter of fact, in Mesoamerica, they call them Mennonite. And they still do what they do, and they leave them alone. They're like, yep, they over there to themselves. Same thing that these so-called, and I'll put it in their language of the chiefs, because that's what we get colored or blacks. They would say, oh, that was Mr. Johnson, that was the white folk. They lived over there and they didn't bother us and we didn't bother them. You're gonna hear those stories all of the time. All of the time. In all of these Indian establishments, I could keep naming. So when people say, oh, you speaking your language? I could talk about Navasota, Texas. I can keep going on. I can talk about Mahia, Texas. I could literally go on and on and on and on and on. And all of these places, Nacogdoches, all of these places, you're gonna find out people that look like us said we've always been there. And they don't know anything about Africa. And if you call them African, you may get slapped in your face. As my grandmother say, I slapped your IT out your mouth. You know about those IT, don't you? I yield the mic.
Ohio player dropping that heat in the chat. He dropped a link that shows you that the Mongols and the French Pope was George X, Gregory X. They had communications. Marco Polo and the Oda Polo were going back and forth. The Pope was trading with the Mongols, with the Khan dynasties. The information in there is a good read.
Tell y'all don't know. That's why I said this is the most astute chat in the cosmos. Roller coaster of love. Say what? That Ohio players for y'all know nothing about all that there.
All right, so what y'all want me to read now? Grand Rising KSR, Grand Rising Ohio Player, Grand Rising Powhatan 9-man, Grand Rising. Let's see if I miss anybody else. Grand Rising EJ Coppertone. I think I have everybody. If I forgot you, just let me know. Grand Rising Marlon P. So, where do y'all want me to go now? You want me to keep reading?
Yeah, you can.
Yep.
Alright.
But James had something else he was going to drop.
Okay, just make it show. Let me go ahead and put the screen back on.
We may not get to the A-bomb today, but for those that don't know and don't realize, when you start talking about the first, what we call explorers, because again, those Huguenots didn't come over here exploring. They came over here to settle. There's a huge difference between an explorer and one that's coming over here to set up shop. So when you start reading, and you'll find out no matter what side of the coin they own, whether they African American, $5 Indians, $2 Abos, you don't hear them talking about the ʻvaka. You don't hear them talk about it at all. Has anyone ever heard them talking about it? No. Is anyone talking about DeSoto? No. And they are describing what the people over here look like. And they're calling them by their tribal names. And when you get back to those tribal names, you're gonna find out who these people are. And when he said about establishment all along in that region of Texas, and he went all the way to California, you're gonna find all of these same people. That's why he wasn't shocked at all. They were not shocked to find these tall, what he called the script, the tall black men, and how Esteban, because see, this is how they interchange Esteban. Because you see, one minute they'll say Esteban, the Moor, and then you'll read Esteban the black Moor. Then you'll read Esteban the Negro. Then you read Esteban the African slave. That's because they keep trying to change the narrative. But in the original Portuguese, because that's what it is, it's still in this, the original language, he wasn't called that. So don't let the smooth taste fool you, because they always throw in, and I challenge anybody to do this, and then I'm gonna yield the mic. I challenge anybody. Anytime you look up anybody that's done something great, that they will label African American, but we knew that they were Indian, you'll always see born a slave, former slave, born a slave, born a slave, he was a former slave, freed after the Civil War. But they never tell you what plantation they were on. They'll say former slave from what became known as Dallas, Texas. Where? Who was his so-called master?
Freedom. Who
they
signed the
never
papers
give you
of
that.
freedom?
They never give you that. And I am gonna yield the mic, but I'm on one today. I apologize. But you're gonna find out dealing with going. How we had to make them change it. We had to make the historians change his marker when they said that he was a slave, and he was never a slave, and he was going all up and down from the Atlantic coast, all into Texas, down into Mesoamerica, back. He was going back and forth. And then they had to retract it, but it was decades. They had on his tombstone, former slave. He was never a slave. See how they do us? So every time they'll say the name, and then they'll say former slave or born a slave. And then right after that, they're going to all this stuff. Because you're going to find out, and I'm sorry, I am on one. You're going to find out that the Indian that discovered the Folsom site in New Mexico, they're going to say, oh, he was born a slave, and then after the Civil War, he was freed at the age of 9, and he was uneducated, but he taught himself Spanish, and he taught himself how to be a rancher. Remember these cowboys of color? Because I used to go to rodeo here in Mesquite. Cowboys of color. So anyway, he was the one that when everything happened, he discovered the site. Oh, and found the bones. So how did he know what they were? How did he know the artifacts? How did he teach himself Spanish? See, this is the kind of narrative that they paint and they give to our children. So you automatically think, oh yeah, because it says it in here, I'm gonna say, where? Ask them the plantation. Because like I said, I found out dealing with my own family that this plantation didn't exist until the 1900s. My people were from Eufaula, Alabama. Eufaula, Alabama. Then you read and say, wait a minute, the shorter plantation didn't exist until 1902. I'll yield the mic. I'm out of here. Go ahead. Take us home.
And what's important too with that word plantation, we got to go to the original definition of it. Plantation was just another word for colony, settlement. That's all. You can't use the definition of 2019. You got to go back and use the definition on when they were using the word.
Or congratulations, you played yourself.
I mean, we might as well go in, man. Ain't no need to stop it now. Everybody on the road, like butter on hot bread. So let's get it.
But I don't think they're ready though, Thomas. Because as we discovered, we see all these Catawba all over the place. What's going on here? Why y'all got establishments all in Alabama and Mississippi? Why they talk about dealing with the shipwrecks?
We the keepers of the East Gate. We had boats. We built boats. We taught the Vikings how to build their boats. They taught the Egyptians how to build their boats. But the Greeks taught them. Keepers of the East Gate, not the North Gate, because we ain't let nobody in through the North Gate. That was a Catawba up north. I'm just saying, not to throw shade, but just to tell facts.
that let those
There's
Acadians.
a lot of cloud
go.
cover.
But I'm just trying to figure out, like, okay, if y'all were supposedly African slaves that were brought over here, but you finding that y'all were shipbuilders, none of y'all built a ship and said, let's go back to West Africa? Nobody?
I mean, if that's where my home was at, that's where I would have went. But unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, I have not found any Africans in my genealogy, nor slaves. And I'm all the way back to the early 1800s, like the 1800 census. So, no. Sorry.
Same here. I'm in the early 16s and late 15s, and not one yet. And I'd be purposely looking, and I haven't found one.
And Lady Free put something in the chat that I don't want to be overlooked when we were talking about that hot water cornbread. She talked about that cast iron skillet. I'm looking for the West African iron skillet. Somebody find that for me, please. But I do know that the Indians over here were the ones that taught the Vikings about iron and how they had their iron shields and iron swords and iron hammers and iron axes. So when you look at Thor, when Thor got his hammer and then turned around and got his axe from where it's like this far off planet, this dwarf place, and had to deal with this intense heat. Look at that scene again. Look at it again. In Endgame, that Viking Thor had to go out to a far land to get this particular iron for his
Drop
axe.
it on him. Drop it on him.
Not only that, but if you think about it, if you look at it, one of the reasons, another reasons why they came over here was because of the ore, because of the coal. Coal melts at a certain temperature. You can't, regular heat will
Scattered
not,
all over the Americas.
Yeah.
Scattered all over the Americas.
Yeah, regular wood fire will not burn or allow you to forge iron and steel. So you needed coal. Coal grows naturally over here, so they had to come over here to get that coal. Not only that, but those long houses from the Howden Sea, they had four chimney stacks to allow the heat to escape, where the Vikings only had one. Like James said, it was causing smoke to bellow out of the Vikings' huts or those long houses. You don't build a house that long and only have one escape route for the smoke. The Howden Sea had four. They only had one. That should tell you. Reverse engineering. I'm just saying. Don't
Yep.
don't listen to
Why
me.
they walking around coughing like Zoolander when he went to go work in the coal mine. Black lung. I think I got the black lung, Pop. I'm a merry man.
I don't even want to do the John Boy part, but yeah, that's accurate. That's accurate.
All right, so let me go ahead and start reading where it says representation in other media. Since we going in, it says La Isla La Lami's novel, The Moor's Account, is a fictional memoir of Estevanico, the Moroccan slave who survived the journey and accompanied Cabeza de Vaca through the Southwest. He is considered to be the first black explorer of North America. That's interesting.
Wait. You said fictional.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, it's
You
fictional.
said fictional.
Mm.
So he would be equivalent to the West Africans Toby, right? Kuta Kinte?
Yep.
Because it's fictional. Okay, go ahead.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Don't
Go ahead.
take it fictional.
Just one of them days.
I guess so.
No. We're gonna do the remix. It's called Not One of Them Slaves.
Not now, better nutter. I'm going on.
So you got Lamy claims that the Chronicle gives him one sentence. The fourth is Estevanico, an Arab Negro from Azamor. However, there are several others reference to him in the account. Lord Buckley created a monologue, The Grasser, based on Hanel's long novella. This was first recorded in 1954 and again in 1959. His story is noted in the first episode of Ken Burns' The West, a PBS documentary which first aired in 1996. And here is an account of the ancestors of Cabeza de Vaca. Now, here's the thing that I find interesting. You can find these people's ancestry online. Why is it so hard to find ours? I'll wait.
On purpose.
Yeah, I know. I was being rhetorical.
And you see a couple of the lines are blacked out. I wonder why a couple of them family members are left blank. Who are they hiding?
Mm-hmm.
You ask too many questions, Bones.
So you got the English editions, you got the biography, books about Cabeza de Vaca. I'll let y'all take a gander at some of these books with the ISBN numbers. And that way y'all can write them down. The links are in the chat. But matter of fact, let me repost the link. That way they have one.
Yeah, it's in the chat, and it's also in the form and the Continental Assembly form under Álvarez.
Wait, hold on. Proof is not a problem?
Proof is never a problem.
Never, ever.
Oh, man. I thought I was, okay, I might have been thinking it backwards. No, it's not us. Okay, I got you. All right. It's coming out.
Is it?
No, I'm not going to do that. It's coming out. I don't think they're ready for it. Check the forum.
So also, you can see here are other links that reference him. Apparently the Choctaw, the Capoeiro, the Criollo, the Mississippian culture, the Pinas Remota, Quivera and Kiwola, Francisco Vasquez de Coronado, another Spanish explorer in North America. Bust of Álvarez, Núñez, Cabeza de Vaca is in Houston, Texas. More references. So for those people that's claiming that, Wikipedia is not a good place to use, it's not something good to use, you don't use Wikipedia as a source. You use Wikipedia as a guide, and the sources are attached to the bottom. And that's interesting coming from people that claim to be scholars and stuff. I just find that funny.
I guess they failed all their school book reports then.
They call themselves researchers. TMH, research.
Okay, so they search and search again, but they just won't search on.
Yeah.
They just keep reading the same book over and over. They research in the same book. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Let me go check this one out again.
KSR says, if anybody helps with genealogy, please, LMK. Let me know.
Just email
us. Drop the email. About to drop it right now.
All right, so that's all for this link. Is there anything else? And is there another link I need to go to? Something else I need to pull up? Go ahead and go back to the On
Álvarez, no, you don't have to, because we had the books and stuff in there, and people can use the numbers to find the books to read more upon it. The importance of it is, for the Álvarez story, it shows you that there's actual recorded accounts of who they seen, who they talked to, and what these people look like. So why, if we're trying to find our story, why so many people want to start and stay in the 1800s when our story goes further back than that?
I don't know. Maybe because we just want to talk about bones we have no proof of, or talk about pyramids we're not putting any slices or source down. I mean, people just like to talk. I'm starting to realize that. They talk, but they don't provide any sources when they talk.
These feel-good stories that do nothing for you in your real life.
That, or they want you to put money in their Patreon account, or they want you to, I don't know, do their PayPal for information that you got for free in the archives. I don't get. Again, which goes back to my point. They're going to charge you for some information that the colonizer stole from you, and they're going to make you pay for it. How is that helping the community?
I call them
It's not.
7-Elevens.
You said
When it's
7-Eleven?
convenient. Would you shop at a 7-Eleven? You know how much they charge for air just to put air in your tire? Air is free.
$125. Sometimes $175.
Yep.
I hit the Wawa.
And then
I'm sorry, y'all.
and don't use quarters only, because the machine won't even start. So go right ahead, charge you for air, charge you for water. And I remember when I had my bike back in the day, air was free, and the water on the side of the house and on the side of the buildings were free. So now they charge it. So I'm gonna charge you, or I'm gonna release this on my Patreon. If you're a Patreon account, thank you for supporting me and mine. And then it's like Tupac said, how dumb can you be? It's like you people, you Patreons, are paying for their luxury boats and fancy hotels and 4 and 5 houses. You, Patreon, think about it. I'm off the mic, man. I'm off my soapbox. I'm going back to dance the jig on the back porch. I gotta go.
No, don't do it. LJ Free says, messing around with false narratives is the biggest waste of time. Get what's yours out of it. Keep it moving. Personal opinion. Keep your personal opinions personal. I'm sorry, Brother Thomas, unmute yourself. I didn't know, because I was dancing the jig on the back porch. Did you get to the part where it says that Esteban was killed? I didn't see that part, but I can go back up and look for it.
Yeah, if you go on down, because like I said, the account that was given to me, and also in the book of dealing with the ʼvaka, tells you that Esteban, the Negro, the black Arab, and that's why I said they never said anything referring to him as a slave. Nunez would just call him the black. He didn't even put the more on there. They added that in when they translated it to English. He would just say the black, and he would get sent out before the ʼvaka. Why? Because Esteban looked like us. And I said they killed him because he was like, oh, so more people are coming. And they asked him what they looked like. And he told them, he gave the definition of them being the Europeans, and they killed him because they said, you are a traitor. That's how he was able to send him out 2 and 3 days ahead of them.
Well, no, it's not up here because it references a novel that talks about him surviving the journey, but he got killed, so he just survived the journey. So I don't know why they wrote that fictional story like that. So I don't see anything about him being killed or assassinated or anything of that nature. They stopped talking about him. Like, you go back up.
Yeah, they stopped talking about him because he was no longer around.
Yeah, we don't talk about him no more.
Upper room.
When Jesus. Oh, my bad.
That was horrible. I thought I was bad. Nope, I don't see anything about him.
Well, I'm here to tell you, he was killed. And I put all that I have. I will invest all of my Bitcoin in somebody that can show me any differently. Killed.
LJ Free brings up a point. She says, that's some BS. What about the man and a woman who literally cannot afford to support somebody's Patreon? Are they not entitled to their truth? Apparently not, Free. If you ain't got the money, they're not gonna help you, but they're doing it for the people. The question is, whose people?
Yeah, who people? Maybe
exactly. That's why you need to know who everybody is, because what they doing could be benefiting their people, and their people are not your people.
Say it again.
Just because they look like
know who you are.
Yeah, a lot of times people, when they come out and say, I'm doing this for my people, they could be telling you the straight up truth. The problem is, if you don't do genealogy, you don't know who your people is.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not
somebody can look just like you and be a fully German. All these people can be German. But he looks just like you, talk like you, dress like you, walk like you. Some of your homies check their family. They might be foreigners. And I'm not saying that as that's a problem, because we in this state now. Judge people off of what they're willing to do now to fix the situation. Because no matter who's your mother country, we all share responsibility in fixing this mess.
I mean, at the end of the day, if my mentality is this, and I said this from the gate, if you're not doing your genealogy and trying to find out who you are, I can't rock with you. I can't, because it's not something I'm going to do. Because you basically not trying to find out who your people are, and you're basically trying to keep you from finding out who my people are. So, yeah, I can't rock with you like that.
TMH, what do you say all the time about knowing somebody and knowing yourself? You say it.
Really, if you know who you are,
yeah.
You know where to start, and you know who not to be around. You know who the gatekeepers are. You know who the ones that's being in your chats, smiling, big up in you, never offering to help you. You know, they claiming they got their Indian card, and they do, but they're not helping you get yours. And then if they do your genealogy, they're the main ones that's not giving you an Indian card because you are too dark. But then they go out and post videos about, property and stuff not being yours. Meanwhile, they doing things they ain't got no business. And some people they offended gonna be getting out shortly. So I see why they wait for the lights to go up. But that's neither here nor there. Moving on. Once you know who you are, you know who you're not supposed to be around. And you know who you're not supposed to hang around. And you know who the gatekeepers are. And you know the people who are out there for your demise, because they're out there. Free brought up a point a long time ago. She says everybody's listening to the call of their mother. Everybody ain't got the same mama. Because somebody mama sold out the Mayans. Remember that.
And that's why it doesn't pay to argue with people. If somebody want to be an African or a Pan-African, don't argue with them, because that might be the call that they hear.
Exactly. And if you know who they are, see, here's the thing about it. Once you start listening to these genealogists, they know who people are based off of their surnames. See, that's the thing that people don't want you to know. They know your last name. They know exactly what tribe you're from. Once you start doing the research and find out how everything ties in, you'll start knowing who people are based off of their last names as well. And then you'll start to realize who the gatekeepers are, who you should be hanging around, who you should not be hanging around, and why you shouldn't be hanging around them, and why they act the way they act. They act all quiet. They show up in certain chats. They don't show up in some chats. I mean, you people start telling on themselves. That's why your grandma always asks who your people. Because if you know who your people are, you know who your people are not. Was that what you was talking about? No, Salah?
Yes,
okay.
That works.
So
I'll put something in the back chat, in the back of the backs, to show you that I know without a shadow of a doubt, that dude was taken out of here. Esteban, the Riser, the Black, was taken out. And when you find out who took him out and where he was taken out, and then look what I put in the back chat, that is how I know. Because the one I put in the back chat, his father's father was part of the ones that took him out.
Okay, that's what's up. So do we want to go? Do we want to talk about the Uli, James? What we doing?
Oh man, if we do, I'm telling you, you gotta get Jerry Lewis on the line, because we got to do a telethon. Because we're gonna have to break it down. That's why I said, without a shadow of a doubt, those that keep playing dumb and act like they don't know, you're gonna understand who was Cheddar Man. Ready for the world.
Oh man.
So we wanna
get him.
So we
Say that for them all.
Yeah, we want to say that for them all.
It's Friday, man. What's going on?
Today is not. You know what, Goofy? Stop it.
It's what Friday? When Friday?
Wait,
Friday.
No, I got one better. No, they can log on to my Patreon account.
Oh man, it's coming out.
I don't have one.
It's coming out. It's too much. It's over their heads. Yeah.
Ain't nobody. We ain't talking over nobody's head. Stop doing that.
Sorry, chat. It's over your heads. We're gonna wait. It's coming out.
You're going to learn tomorrow, David Corey says.
You're going to learn. Well, you stupid.
Hopefully you understand now why the timelines are so important, and you understand why we do what we do. Again, it's to help you do your genealogy, find out who you are, because finding out who you are is very important. Because here's the thing I know for a fact. You can't tell me who I am. You can't tell me who I'm not. Therefore, I can promise you, I can prove to you who I am. You can't prove who I'm not. I done done my genealogy. I done traced my family back to their original names. Their original names. What they called themselves. Not what somebody called them. Not what the French called them. Not what the Germans called them. Not what the Russians called them. Not what Portuguese called them. What they called themselves. Who named you? If you're walking around here with a name that your people didn't call you, you are a fraud. Now that's if you're doing it intentionally. I don't care what set you claiming, what clan you repping, what tribe you repping. If you're not calling yourself what your people called you, and you are going by your fake recessive uncle's name, then you are a fraud. Pet name. If you're using a pet name, use a fraud. They go for the Moors, guys go for the Cherokees, they go for any you name a name, pick any name that's got a French or a Latin derivative. You a fraud. Don't get mad at me. I didn't name you. Noble Drew Ali didn't start talking about Moors until the early 1900s. The Moors were named by the French in the early 1400s. Don't get mad at me.
And they were the Berbers of the Maghreb. They're right. Berbers from the Maghreb.
So don't get mad at me.
You can get emotional all you want, but you can't change who these people are because they still exist to this day. It's crazy.
Right. Again, if you don't know, that's one thing. But if you do know, stop it. Cherokee was not the original name of that tribe. Catawba is not the original name of that tribe.
Nope.
Iroquois is not the original name of that tribe. Lakota, nope. Dakota, they're not the original names. Those are French words. So if you're using a French word, you're being a fraud. Don't get mad at me. I ain't named you. What did your people name you? How about that?
We.
I'm just saying. Let's keep it real. Let's be honest with ourselves. You're hanging on to a name that your uncle, your daddy gave you. Your fake pawpaw. Your recessive daddy. Don't get mad at me.
Like we need to have Uncle Scar up in this camp.
I'm just saying, don't get mad at me. Indios is what our people call each other. We can prove it. Itza is what our people call each other, and I can prove it. If you got a problem with it, you can come see me, but you won't.
I mean, that might be a long ride for some people. I mean, we have an email address and a phone number.
Yeah,
if you don't want to come see
you want a plane ticket, email me. I'll meet you at the airport. I'll pick you up.
Why you got to be so difficult? I'm just saying, we got a number right there. You know?
Dan, Powhatan is part of the How Do Not See, or what they call the Iroquois. You can actually go to the Iroquois page, and they'll tell you how to spell How Do Not See. I don't want to misspell it for you. That means people in the longhouse. That's what they call themselves.
Yep.
Iroquois is a French word.
Let's remember, America was New France. Your states are named by the French. Oregon, as funny as it sounds, look it up. It's a French word.
Orange County represent.
French word.
I'm going to see if I can.
The French named you.
Dan, I'm going to look it up for you to see if I can find it.
Y'all just busted bubbles all up in here today.
I'm just saying, people getting upset because they want to hang on to what their recessive daddy called them. Don't get mad at me. I ain't named you. What your people call you? I don't care what you want to call yourself more. Fine.
That's even Seminole is a even the term Seminole is a mispronunciation, Cimarron, but they couldn't pronounce the R. So over time, it became Seminole. But the original word had an R in it.
See, now you done it. You done
Oh,
it.
my
Mother
bad.
Bones, you done it. They ain't gonna figure out why somebody's talking about Maroons, the West African man. They were Thailand. Wrong. You gonna find out who these Maroons are. These Seminoles that they talk about came from Jamaica. They were the same folk. They're Arawak. Stop playing.
There you go.
How you gonna end up? You gonna wait till you get over here to start fighting? You gonna come to a land you don't know. You look, they kidnapping you by the gazillions. And you turn around and you gonna get up to a land you don't know and then go fight somebody back. And then go run to an island that you don't even know. And then you gonna set up shop in the hills that you don't even know. Come on, son. How does that sound? That's like somebody rolling through your neighborhood and they looking for somebody and they be like, man, I don't know that kid. Who that kid right there? Like, yeah, that's who we looking for. They ain't never seen the kid before. Why they running around looking for these maroons? Come on, son. Say maroon.
Big Hawk says our tattoos are part of our original culture.
Yes. Tattoos, grilled out, the whole nine. See, they try to let the smooth taste fool you, but don't let the smooth taste fool you.
Yeah, a lot of tattoos are family markings. A lot of tattoos are family markings that you can tell where a lot of people come from by the tattoos that's on them.
So ladies, stop getting those tattoos that say juicy, because that has nothing to do with your relatives and your ancestors. So stop playing.
Tattoos in the family name? That was us. I'm sorry.
See,
you done
talk
it.
about, see,
You done it again.
but we be the ones cutting up though.
Man, they know
You done it again, Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
I already looked you up, man. I looked you up, man. I know who you are, Thomas. Thomas.
God.
I'll say it like this. Instead of looking me up, you better look up the gun laws if you coming. That's all I got to say. Look up the laws. That'll help you out. Look them up first, then come see me. So with that being said,
a lot of people use the term Cherokee to describe Indian. But what we're telling you, Cherokee was a name given to you by the French. That these people actually have clan names. Push beyond what the French gave you. Push through the overlaid stories of these names to find your true name. Find your name. Then when you find your name, don't be ashamed of it. Shout it with all your might to the tallest mountains possible on the plain. Let the world know that we're still here and who we are. We know our name. We know they know them, but now it's time for us to know our names, our true names.
I just want to give a little homework to those that are saying, no, it's not possible, and I just don't believe it. If you don't know that the Catawba Suponi or Issa or Itza, do some research on the Itza in Chichen Itza, and you'll find out it says that Itza left. They went to a far land, and they came back and saw it was some imposters in their house, and they killed them. They were claiming to be elders, but they were imposters, and they killed them.
Three little bears. You better look up the history of the story.
So where did they go? So if we know that Itza left to a far land, came back, and you'll read and the European there say, oh, they didn't respect their elders. Yes, they did. They knew that the ones that were in the house trying to say that they were elders weren't elders. So you're gonna find out who these mestizos and Huguenots that were trying to take over. And the Itza came back and cleaned house. That's the record. That's why I say again, if you find out who you are, it's gonna all tie in. And you're gonna see tomorrow. And for those that keep faking the funk, and I'll say again, you can call, you know, it was Heathcliff, and then there was another cat. What's that other cat's name? Y'all remember?
Was he orange as well?
Riff-raff.
Yeah, he was orange. Yeah.
Garfield.
And he liked to eat lasagna and stuff.
Lasagna,
Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about.
Oh, you're talking Garfield. Yeah, Garfield lasagna, yeah.
Yeah, hang around Odie. You can call yourself, that if you want to. But my deal is don't try to get over other people. Charge the people for something that is public information, and then don't tell the people if you are Pan-Africanist or if you African, be who you want to be. But don't take laws and codes, again, that are PIH codes, public Indian housing codes, and don't tell the people where you got it from. Shout out to Bones and them. I yield the mic.
And listen to the Goldilocks story. Our hair and locks during the summertime, isn't it goldish red? I know mine is. That's the color it turns in the sun. Goldish brown locks. So who do you think it? Let me hush. Who do you think they're talking about? Relatives? All these nursery rhymes and children's stories got overlaid over time to take you away from what they were pointing you to. There's a reason a lot of these nursery rhymes got passed down through generations and generations and generations. It was meant for you to decipher it to find who you are. Our ancestors did the best that they can with what they had at the time, knowing if they left enough breadcrumbs and we did our job and we hear our mother's call, that we will find them and in return find ourselves.
And if y'all are too young to remember Goldilocks, and y'all know anything about that nursery rhyme, then I leave you with these words. You wanna dance? I'ma make you dance. You wanna move? I'ma make you move. Drew Hill, I can't turn it loose. Then what? Somebody's sleeping in my bed, messing with my head, taking my place. Goldilocks. Somebody just sleeping in my bed.
Oh man, that Drew Hill stomp.
Didn't our ancestors migrate from certain areas for 10 years to let the ground grow back proper so they can produce on it the right way? That's enough time for somebody to come in and set up shop. Hey, ain't nobody here. I'm going to put a stake in the ground.
Yep.
Next time I got a stake in your back.
And that's when you come in and some people are like, oh, they disappeared. They were just here. No, they went to the other land to allow that land to heal. And some of you should know, but some of us are older, we can't do that anymore. But when you were younger, if you didn't lock your hair, if you didn't comb it, it will naturally lock up.
Yep.
Your hair would naturally lock. Then we gonna get, oh man, I can't get back to the Alabama right now. I'm sorry. Thomas, unmute yourself, man. Come save us. Come unmute yourself.
No.
Thanks, David Corey, because we say that a lot. We know that some Indians got moved to reservations. We know the majority of them didn't. By knowing that, relatives, who again is the PIH codes designed for? Public Indian housing, the same thing that Dr. Martin Luther King marched for, the same thing that he lost his life over? PIH.
Didn't he make a speech saying something about our own land? Didn't he say that? Was he encouraging people to like, oh, you from Africa, go to Africa? Did he ever make any speeches like that?
Not a one.
I'm still digging. I could be wrong.
All the recorded speeches I done listened to over and over and read, I don't see it in there.
So you mean to tell me that he didn't talk to Eisenhower and he didn't go to Kennedy nor LBJ and say, hey man, LBJ, since you're sending all these troops over to Vietnam, why don't you give us a couple of boats and let us go on back to Sierra Leone, which we know.
Never, ever, ever.
Well, I'm just trying. I just want to know, because I don't want to, and I'm trying to figure out why people get on the boats to come over here to the Americas and you might as well just keep going and just start rowing to the right. Why you turning around? Why you coming this way? Just roll to the right, and you end up in West Africa. So why are you coming over here? So that means you got on a boat or you got on a plane, and you could just go into Africa. And then they're gonna try to tell you, see, here's the kicker. Here's what we're gonna really. I'm sorry, man. I can't help myself. Jerry Lewis. I can't help myself.
Do it to him. Do it.
They want you to claim something that you're not to get you off of this land so they can take what is rightfully yours. Again, don't have a problem with you being over here, but if you're going to use the PIH codes, tell the people, tell your Pan-African fan club, your followers, where are you getting that information from? Stop blurring that section out. Stop missing that.
Yeah, the Indians ain't real. We ain't real. We faking. But you had the audacity to watch shows and get the information and repackage it up. Public Indian housing codes. There is no HUD codes. It's public Indian housing. Public info. Just go to HUD. It's right there. They'll tell you. It's not hidden.
They finally took the PIH off the websites. They no longer put it on the websites anymore. You got to go actually type in PIH, and you'll find that the term PIH in the actual links to the public Indian housing.
That's no sellout's fault.
Ain't nobody doing nothing.
Putting the heat on all these HUD representatives that's out here fronting.
He's making those phone calls, sending correspondence, and next thing you know, I don't know nothing about birthing no babies. I don't know nothing about no Section 3 boss.
Got them all shook up. We ain't talking about the song.
Speaking of HUD, don't we have a community spotlight that's coming up at 1 o'clock, Bones?
Yes, we do. So relatives, we have a community spotlight dealing with HUD, dealing with our own, our fuel, with her. So she can let you know what she's been doing and the progress, the ups and downs with it. Yes, we do.
You mean our very own Basketball Jones? For Basketball Jones? Our very own?
Yes, I believe so. That's the name that she has been given, yes.
Y'all are killing that woman's name. It's ÄlVaɾ.
I said ÄlVaɾ. He said ÄlVaɾ. Basketball Jones.
Okay, my bad. My hearing is bad. Going back on mute.
No, Thomas, unmute yourself, man. You don't listen, man. You don't listen. Unmute yourself. Come back. Cab.
Yes.
Unmute yourself. Were you able to find the proper spelling? Because I don't want to leave. I know someone had asked in the chat.
Yeah, I found it. Put it in the chat.
Yeah,
I found it. Put it in the chat.
No, you got to remember, we Thomas when me, No Sellout, and Thomas get together. Then we Thomas. Because it's my voice, his name, No Sellout picture.
that doo-doo, I don't know him. I don't know him. I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know who you're talking about, Cap. I don't know him.
Oh man.
He called me though. Doo-doo called me though, but I don't know nothing about that.
I just read his name.
You don't know who Doo-doo Vision is, but call me.
Just because I read his name. That Nato Jenkins. You don't know Doo-doo? I don't know Doo-doo.
It's crazy. Like we say, the foolishness got to stop. It must stop. We have to demand better from ourselves and from the ones who are us, from the ones that have been placed in particular positions of power. We must demand, not ask, demand better. It's time for the American Indian to stop being scattered across our own homeland. It's time for us to reconnect to our ancestral ways. It's time for us to start linking up and mobilizing to make effective change. 2020 is around the corner, and I'm not saying it as the census. 2020 is a political year. There's enough of us to get together, to put our narrative in the front, to put our narrative on Main Street. The time is now. It's right for the picking, my relatives. So what are we going to do? Barbecue or mildew? Let's get it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to barbecue. I don't want to play no more. That's way too.
How you gonna do them like that? How you gonna do them like that, son?
All right, good people.
Hey, we telling it how it is. That's it. We do not do this to tell our relatives and listeners the romance stories. The same romance stories that got us behind the 8 ball still. Study history. What did it get us? Following and believing in a romance story cost us everything.
Exactly. So this is about that time. How about we do this? Let's go ahead and give our salutations to the people so they can go out and do what they do best. Let's take care of their relatives, take care of business at hand, and reach out to the people in that community. So no sell out. What you got for the good people this evening or this rise?
Sorry about that. I had to answer the door. Or the door.
Now I was asking no sellout what he wanted to share with the people before we head it out.
My bad. I didn't hear anything. My bad.
Really?
No, I didn't hear a word anybody said. Blankety blank blank.
Can y'all hear me? All right, go ahead.
Microphone check.
We got you. Go ahead.
Two. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Hey, what's up, Garfield? All right, so peace, y'all. Peace, everybody. Peace to the chat. Peace to the panel. Appreciate you, James, TMH, Bones, Free in the chat. Peace. Carrie out there somewhere. Peace to A2. But the chat, I'm glad y'all are rocking with us and asking all the questions here and now when we live. But somebody please email me with a real question, comment, concern, and or correction. We are not above correction out here. Proof is not a problem. Check the website out. If you need any help with genealogy, email us. If you need any direct help with genealogy, consciousnessassembly@gmail.com. I'll be posting some links in the chat. Happy Friday. Peace, y'all.
All right. So, Doodle Vision. Choctaw Jimmy, what you got for the people? Don't hurt him too bad. Well, never mind. Go ahead. Do what you do.
No, I'm just gonna keep it light and fluffy. I want to say again to the most astute chat in the cosmos, there is none better. I know that there are some that are listening and watching and looking at responses in the chat, but they are too afraid to speak up because they'll get banned from another group. It's okay. It's all right. And I appreciate the panelists known as Thomas, and Thomas. You guys, Cab, unmute yourself. I appreciate you all allowing me to come on once again. And the Lady Free, I appreciate you. See, they just think that she's just silent and she's during the chat and she's running things. I want to say this to those that are listening, because I know some of y'all think that the real Thomas, the real TMH is like what's his name, Morgan Freeman, when he played he always plays the president or God anyway. But in the movie when he played the president, when the asteroid was gonna destroy the Earth, with the chick that played on Bad Boys, but she dyed her hair blonde for that role in the movie. She was a reporter, and he said, "I'm only taking." Yeah, when he said, "I'm only taking one question," and like you just pick people out of the crowd because you already know what question they're gonna ask. Because he was the president, it's like, she did a follow-up question. Well, no, the questions in the chat are not screened questions. You can ask questions, and I'm glad to see the people were asking questions and getting the answers in real time. Because I know some things are staged in the back chats, in some groups, and you think like, oh man, they are so smart. How did they get to be that smart? I never knew that they were that smart. These people are not as smart as you think they are. They're playing games, and they're playing games with your money. You wanna know why? Because Santa Claus is coming to town, and the kiddos need some new draws for Christmas. So y'all can set yourself up if you want to and try to get that on Patreon and PayPal accounts and pay-per-view debates if you want to. They just want their kids to have a holly jolly Christmas, but they'll tell you, don't celebrate Christmas. When I know without a shadow of a doubt, their kids always have a very Merry Christmas. Because Christmas is not African. Y'all, I tell you,
It's
do
German.
not.
Christmas is German.
They brought
And
it
the
over
Christmas
with
tree
them.
came from them. Yep. The Germans gave you the Christmas tree. They brought that to America.
Santa Claus jumped up on the scene when they put him on that Coca-Cola can. And Coca-Cola and Santa took off. You don't believe me? Check it out. And they still, to this day, still put Santa Claus on the Coca-Cola cans and the bottles. That's where it started, on the Coca-Cola bottles. They put Santa on there. But they always have a holly jolly Christmas. But what about your kids? Remember, Doodoo Vision loved the kids. Double Deuce album coming out soon. It's gonna drop and it's gonna be hot. Don't stir it up. I'm telling you, because if you stir it up, it's gonna stink. But the double-sided album, I'm the Tupac of the Indians. I'm gonna drop it and keep dropping it. And you're gonna understand who's who and what's what and how they doing. And I appreciate those that are figuring out, because again, the cream always rises to the top. And I appreciate those that understand when they say it's about the information, it is still about the information. But I'll be doggone if you're gonna give me some water out of a dirty glass. So if you wanna continue and get your degree from ScamU, blessyourheart.com, knock yourself out. If you wanna know how to do for yourself and how to do, as Lady Free says, for the next generation and 7 generations, then I would advise you, go back, rewind the tapes, find out if you missed something, rewind it again, go to the settings, slow it down, put it on 0.5 and slow it down so you can hear everything. Don't miss it, because been dropping, I know Brother Bones been hitting them videos. He's been slapping y'all left and right. He's been having more videos than Blockbuster Video back in the day before they shut down. And if you're not ready, you better get ready. And bring your kiddos so they can listen too. Don't let them fall by the wayside. Take them in and let them listen. I promise I wasn't gonna be long, but I got to, because I'm on one. I told you I've been dancing a jig on my back porch. When you realize what is true and what is false, then you will realize what path to take. Do not let the smooth taste fool you. And if you want to go back to Africa, because if that's where you're from, I'm not knocking you. And I leave you with this. This is the only West African language that I know that is not Dutch. And it is Jungle Love. Yes. I'm out this cotton picking mic.
I gotta go after that, huh?
Well, you know I'm not.
Want to give a shout out and much respect to the new subscribers. We appreciate you for all you do. You could have subscribed with anybody and watched anybody, but you chose us, so we thank you. Grand Rising shout out with much respect to the Autochthonous Assembly Silent Majority, aka A2 Silent Majority. You're where we get our numbers from. So we thank you for hanging in there with us and getting that information and do what you do for the community. And to the smartest chat on earth, the best chat ever, You know what to do. One of these days, y'all gonna create your own name. We'll talk about that in the forum. We thank you and we appreciate y'all for keeping us on the right track, on the right path, and always making us do our research and not just taking our word for it, but doing your own research and confirming it for yourself. So we thank you for that. At the end of the day, it's all about genealogy. Period, point blank in discussions. We're not here to tell you who you are. We're not here to tell you who you're not. We are here to help you find out who you are so you can know where to start, who the gatekeepers are, and who to stay away from. You also know who the scammers are and why they're scamming. And you'll also know who's may not be scamming, but who's associating with the scammers and who they are, and so you can stay away from them. With that, I relinquish the mic and hand it over to Bones H. McCoy and let him do what he do. I relinquish the mic.
All right, appreciate that, TMH. I'd like to thank TMH, Brother No Sellout, Brother James for the work that they put in, making it so enjoyable. I'd like to thank the listeners, the ones that's active in the chat every rising, and the ones that's listening to learn more and more about how to find themselves. Let me keep it short and I'm gonna leave it like this. Relatives. I said this before and I'm gonna say it again. If nothing changes, nothing changes. If nothing changes, then we remain the same. And if we remain the same relatives, that's our shame in that. So let us be the change that we need. Let's stop believing that we need somebody to fall down from the sky to lead us to where we need to be. Each and every last one of us who are here this rising, we're here for a reason. We could have chose to go anywhere else, do anything else, but we made the choice to be here. Whether you understand that reason or not, it's a true reason. So let's not let each other's time go in vain. Let's truly unite. Let's truly show the world that the American Indian never went extinct, that we have always been here, and we will remain to be here as long as there's life. So on that note, it's always fun when we get together with the relatives. Again, there's no other place you'd rather be in the rising. So everyone, please have a very, very blissful day. Do some genealogy for yourself. Reach out and help someone else with their genealogy if you can. And on that note, to tomorrow's Rising Show, everyone, peace.
Peace, y'all.
Warning, warning, hard hats, pickaxe, shovels, boots, required.